Yep, that's going well. I don't know if you can see me. I don't... Right, hang on. That's too close. Look how bad that is. Oh, that helps. Look how bad it is. Oh, is that a green screen? Do you reckon? I've got no Picard. I don't know what to do. I am so tired. Did you like the thumbnail? I thought it went against everything. Everyone, everything that modern internet protocol suggests. I'm just getting it up. That's how bad this is going to be. You know how it is when I've got nothing left in the tank. It's either, I mean, it did go all the way and dum, or I sort of get a bit hyper on that. You know, when you're sort of running on fumes. I think it's some probably total guesswork. I haven't put my t-shirt on either. Let me put a t-shirt on. It's just not nice. It's part of the new me. Hang on. You watering the plants, darling? You know what? I've had this t-shirt for about 25 years. I'd love to know where I bought it from. That's good. That's convincing. How do I get rid of that? Just go over here a bit. See, that's why I need Picard. Where is he? I don't feel right. He'll turn up, won't he? Vincent says Picard never says, "Oh, wow, you've really played with syntax there, haven't you?" Oh, talking about playing with syntax, I won't go on about this because it's not everyone's cup of linguistic tea, shall we say. But I joined Threads. It took me about 8 hours to join. Slow version. My Facebook is a business Facebook that's tethered to an account that doesn't exist. There's no phone number to it or anything like that, but it's used for the business I no longer work for. Um, and that's tethered to Instagram. To join Threads, you've got to use Instagram. I haven't got a personal Instagram account. Oh, that's all right. We'll just send you an email to the Facebook account I don't have. And I'm like, yeah, can we try something else? It took, even with Chat GPT, Gemini, and Grok, it really did take about 7 hours to get on Threads and then not know how to use it. And it is the kicker that I think a lot of people here will understand. I started thinking, how do old people deal with this? How do people who don't really know how to use computers do this? Even when I got on Threads, I've got a Threads account, Dangerfield Writer, or just search Chris Dangerfield if you're on there. Follow me, I'll follow you back. You know what it's like in the early days. I'll jettison you later when you're not needed. But as I was thinking, how do old people deal with this? I suddenly had one of those moments of realization, and I thought, no, that's you. You, me, you are one of those old people. I bet you, some 13-year-old with like low IQ, not very clever, but just because of their upbringing, will sit down at a computer, bosh, 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 got a Threads account. Because they grew up in a different world. Like there's things I can do that they'd struggle to do. Not many things, and not conducive to a good life either. But yeah, I realised I was that old person. Like sometimes I'm reading the back of a bottle for the instructions or ingredients, and even with my glasses, I can't make it out. It's too small. And I think, imagine being old and like your eyes don't work properly. You just can't see that. How do you know what's in it or how to use it? I'm looking for the directions for use. And again, I thought, You don't need to imagine. That is, you are that person. You can't read it. You don't know how to use it. And it's got to the stage now where I'm taking photographs. Put one in the chat if you've done this. Taken photograph of like the directions of this. It was actually this is why I remembered it because it's sitting there. This is for anti mosquitoes. Now I know it's poison. DEET is just poisonous, but sometimes, I've got to tell you about the termites in a minute. Sometimes I'll sit here and I'll get 40, 50 mosquito bites, and I'd rather die in a few years' time from something hideous than live condemned to a life of my legs feeling like they're on fire. But yeah, take a photograph of it so that I can zoom in on the photograph. It's terrifying that no one in the chat has won that. I know there's a slight delay, but just me with my eyes then. I mean, I do spend a lot of time looking at the computer screen. Speaking of which, new novel, smashing the fuck out of it. Oh, it's so good. You know, that the first one, if you haven't bought it, just go and get it. In about 2 weeks, you'll be able to go to Waterstones, Barnes and Noble, independent bookshops. Oh, are you stocking Love in the Time of Nudie mags? It's already listed on Waterstones and a couple of others. Foyles, it's listed on Foyles, oldest, most famous bookshop in London. And if they haven't got it in stock, they'll go, no, I'll get it for you though. So well happy with that. But because it's been such a success, the writing of the next one, which is the same character, moi, but 2 years later, it's just flying because I'm motivated. It was a success. It still is a success. It done its peak. It's trailed off, but it hasn't trailed off to zero like 99% of novels do on Amazon. It's doing that now, and that is the phase I expect it to be in. I'm coming out to England probably. I've been saying end of summer, but I don't know when. I don't know when summer is in England. Is it like Thursday, the 14th of May or something? Probably June, July. I'm going to do some live readings, not like loads, because that's what people think writers do. Oh, I'm going to go to a live reading. How boring is this? I shouldn't be surprised. I mean, I would play it up a bit. I shouldn't be surprised. Every boy in Dartford with willy and no pubes who'd strayed into the library must have done the same. 2 minutes of that, 2 or 3 minutes reading I'll do, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about the little bits I pick, a bit of background. But then what I'll do is get a B-list celebrity to interview me. Then there'll be a Q&A. I'll try and stick a few quid behind the bar, so there'll be a few free drinks and that. Maybe some kind of, what do they call them? They walk around and they're little tiny things. Lartus will know. Thank you to the people who have bought that, though. If you haven't, do so. But what would it have been like if that wasn't a success? If that wasn't a continued success? To write another one, same character. It's not a journal, the new one. It's me now looking back. But that, and people do that. People have published like 5, 6, 7 novels and sold like 3. I don't know. I don't know if I've got that in me. I don't know if I'd. The first thing I ever sent off to be published got published, and that was like, oh, all right, I've got it. And then I published a novel, and that was in Waterstones. I haven't been a success, but weirdly, I haven't been a failure. I'll tell you what, the new word that I'm sure plenty of you have heard knocking about. As a writer, I'm successful adjacent. That's the new phraseology, isn't it? That's entered the doxer. I'm successful adjacent. Talking about threads, anyway. Going back to threads, I joined it. Don't know how to use it. Posted a few things, but I think because it's in its early days. Like I set notifications. I don't have any notifications. I know you did, Doc, and you left a cracking review as well. Bless you, mate. Really good. Thank you. Appreciated. I hope you're enjoying it if you started reading it. That's great. Nice one, Vincent. I'll tell you what, Vincent, it'd be lovely. Wait till I give you the go ahead. It'll only be a couple of weeks, and then you'll be able to walk in there and order it. And what they usually do is order a couple, two or three, if someone asks for it, and so you'll be helping me out no end. We might be able to sort that out. I thought you were US based. Who knows? Who knows? But anyway, Lartus told me it's called Going Wide. And so I'm going wide. And that's nice. That's nice. But I tell you what, here's the thing. You know, we've talked on here countless times about the lowering of the Western IQ. You know, most data suggests that Western people's IQ peaked at around 1850, you know, Sherlock Holmes kind of times. You know, Sherlock Holmes ain't real. I said that like it was like a real hot take. Some people think that he's real, like not a character. I suppose he is real if we were to get into the metaphysics of it. But yeah, around 1850, IQ peaked and it sort of started dropping off. And then look at all that. Look, I didn't ask for that. They didn't mention that in the subscription fees. Oh, you're talking about subscription fees. We needed a new freezer, right? Now, I'm not working anymore. I'm a professional writer. So that means I'm skint. And the missus has been bugging me for a new freezer. And I've just been going, yeah, all right, next week. You know, blokes. You know that one, next week. Successful adjacent. Next week is later adjacent. Yeah, it's yes adjacent. But every time I buy one of those bottles of milk, what are they? About 2 litres? 2 days in that fridge because it's hot out here. And then I try and make a cup of tea. Mrs. has gone to bed. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I've got a cake that I've managed to not eat all day. Look at this little sample of chocolate cake I've given myself for a bit of sugar energy for the stream. But and then the milk comes out like cheese. It just pours out. It's like imagine having 2 litres of Primula. Oi, I was at Glastonbury once, and you know you all have your tents facing inwards, so that at night you're all in your tents while the fire's in the middle, and you're just cracking up about all the madness that's been going on, and you're still tripping. And I remember me and a mate were smoking crack for a chillum that had been blessed by the Dalai Lama. There was these couple of hippies that I was about to say langed on to us, but we langed on to them really. Me and my mates sort of we got in with a load of Dartford hippies because we used to be as well, but you know those roads thankfully opened and they'd actually, you know, they went out to India. They wouldn't smoke joints. It was a right ritual. They'd have their little coconut bowl they'd made themselves by sanding down a coconut shell, and they'd put their tobacco in, and they'd only smoke charis, only the finest hand-rolled, unripe flowers of the female bud from the west standing side of the Parvati Valley. All this nonsense. Well, I'm not even joking. You know, and you'll be like, just hurry up. And then after about an hour of them telling you the same story again and again, you're like, oh yeah, Parvati Valley, yeah, hand rolled, yeah, unripe female flowers, yeah, you can't eat cherries because of their dirty hands, yeah, I get it right. And then you have a little stone. Their stone was carved out of this really rare rock that they got from an Inca grave or something where some child was sacrificed millions of years ago. And then they have that little dirty bit of rag that you have to suck it through that's covered in like the aura of hippies. And they were all out. And me and my mates had got back to the tent to smoke some crack. And we didn't have anything prepared. We had nothing. And usually you can get an inhaler or just a bottle of biro, bit of chewing gum, bit of foil, you know, Bob's your crack smoking uncle. This isn't an endorsement of freebase cocaine. Quite the opposite. If you're interested, watch the Crack Diaries. I watched them again recently. Terrifying. Give me the shivers. Anyway, I said to one of my mates, I won't name him. I said, "Oi Ben," I said, "they've got that chillum, haven't they?" I can't even remember their names. I said, they got that chillum in their tent. He went, that they had that blessed by the Dalai Lama. And so what does I said to him, does crack unbless it? And he went, I think so, yeah. I've got an idea that it might. So anyway, I'm going through all their stuff and I found it beautiful chillum, about that long, all hand carved, beautiful. Lord knows what the stone was. And we just sort of stuck a bit of foil over the top, bit of sellotape. And the funny thing was, they've had a few hits and they're out by the fire, seeing who can hold their hands over the fire for the longest. And I was having a shot of the other stuff, so they evacuated. No, you don't evacuate tent, do you? Yeah, you do. There's always that thing, isn't there? The people evacuated the building, or the people were evacuated. It doesn't matter. Um, and I heard them come back, and I was thinking, oh fuck! So I'm sitting there with all my dirty works and all that, and I'm, in the night trying to get a groin shot, like with a torch in my mouth. And she's gone, "Where's our chillum? Where's our chillum? Where's our chillum?" And with absolutely no sense of what is it, love? No, I'm all right, love. Thank you. No, I don't have tea when I'm streaming. No. You want to say hello? um, where she's like, "Where's our chillum? Where's our chillum?" My mate Ben said, with no irony, no sarcasm or anything. He went, "Oh, Dangerfield's in the tent smoking crack for it. Do you want it?" And I was just going to go, "Oh, no." Yeah, they weren't happy. They weren't happy. We got into a nice argument then about whether crack does actually de-bless the chillum. Yeah, I wasn't very nice quite a lot of the time. Anyway, I've got to go a long way back, a long way back. Threads. So not really knowing how to use it, I started recycling some old Substack posts, not like short stories, just little two liners that had got a bit of engagement on Substack. Why not? This is how it works. This is modern marketing. Like most of you, or some of you, will have seen my YouTube Shorts, which is just me reading little bits from this. I'm also doing that on TikTok. Doesn't look that successful, like 250 views here and there, but they're 250 views of people who are interested in this, because I use the same hashtags every time. It's the same image of the cover of the novel every time. And this is what people don't get about TikTok and YouTube Shorts. If you're promoting something, there's no point getting 10 million views from clickbait title if that's not going to convert to a sale or a follow or something. There's no point. It might give you a little dopamine spike, but if I want a dopamine spike, I live in the Golden Triangle. I just put my hand out the window. I'd rather have 250 people that might convert to 2 or 3 sales, and then it goes on and on and on. But here's the thing, because most of this novel is about a 14-year-old boy coming to terms with sexuality, desire, seduction, obsession. You cannot say any of that on TikTok. YouTube Shorts is a little bit more generous, but I love AI. It's transformed my working life. It's transformed my writing life. It will cause problems, but so does all technology. Guns don't kill people. Communists do. But I can't read any, like, I put the whole PDF into ChatGPT and said, give me 100 quotes that I can read between 15 and 60 seconds. and it done it. And then when I check them with Gemini, it's always good to cross check your AIs because they do make mistakes. And it's like, nah, you'll get shadow banned. TikTok will just say that's well dodged, and then you'll get a strike on YouTube just because you mentioned 14-year-old boy. Like I'm risking it now. I'm going to use the word sensual. But on TikTok, you can't do that. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have seen some of the most horrific filth and very bad life advice, very demoralizing humanity. It's a cesspit of decadence. I know that sounds weird in that context, but TikTok is like a cesspit of digital decadence. But dare say something honest about a 14-year-old coming to terms with desire? Nah, nah. They'll just wipe your channel off. It's crazy. And so the thing is, when I'm reading it to find little sections, I'm like, oh, that's because they need to be self-contained. I can't have like half a page before it. And it's like, no, you can't say that. Mentions this, mentions that. There was one bit there's a bit where the girl that sits next to me, she's one of the only characters in the old novel. I didn't change her name. Lisa Merrills turned up at our school looking like a fucking movie star. Not a joke, like just incredible. And because the geezer who used to sit next to me had fucked off to Saudi Arabia, she got the seat next to me in English, and she had this tiny little skirt on. Oh man. And like this proper tight shirt. And one day in English, she went, like she had her hair done at a salon like every day. Like no one in my school done that. No, they didn't even know what a salon was. I didn't know until about 5 years ago. And in English once she went, I'm wearing a red bra. Like, girls mature faster than boys. Well, add to that I didn't have any pubic hair till I was 15. Right? I was such a late developer. I was really late. So when a girl who looks like a movie star, she's got all sort of this hair and like red lipstick at school. Does that happen these days? I don't know. I suppose it does. I suppose they go in looking like fucking that weird whore who sings rap music. But she went, I'm wearing a red bra. And I was like you got to imagine, although I was 14, imagine I was actually about 9 emotionally, certainly sensually. I was just going, and she was like, you might as well have just had, she's opened the top one. I'm going, I swear, I thought it was going to explode. It was down there, the old no-handed wank. When the blood is being pushed into the spongy-form underside, which is what gives you an erection. It was doing it at such a thrusting, pulsing rate. It's like having a wank, a no-handed wank. I remember I used to do them in history. There was a bird who sat in front of me, and she just looked beautiful, and I used to just sit there, like pushing blood into it. Like I've told you this before, but do it for long enough, and you're just there going, no, and then you got an hour listening to some bloke witter on about cholera with a pants full of spunk. So know your limits. But yeah, I can't put any of that. So I'm trying to promote a novel and I can't put any of the best bits in. So there's a thing. That's a thing for you. Right. There's something else I wanted to tell you of interest. Why hasn't he turned up? I can't believe always Numb is in here. Here's a weird thing, people. I don't know. This is Mark. This is Mark from the novel. This is Mark who's in my best mate in this novel. Still one of my best mates to this day. In fact, I've lost a best mate in the last couple of weeks just over some stupid argument. Well, I say stupid. I wasn't. But yeah, that's why I said that. Didn't she get pregnant in the fifth year? If you know the novel, you'll know there's a certain vernacular that's frequently used. And I used to walk her home, like pretending I had to go that way. I think I said my parents had separated because she went, "No, you live in Newtown," which is the area I lived. And I was like, "Yeah, but they separated, so that's why I have to walk 4 miles out of my way just to be near you." And one day on the way home, she was like, "I'm in love. I'm in love," and I was like, "Ah, it worked. I knew it had worked." And it was a bloke called Paul Shambrook. His real name was Sham. Paul Shambrook. I didn't know that she got pregnant in the fifth year. You wouldn't put it past her, would you? I mean, it got so traumatic for me, Mark, to be honest with you, old Lisa Merrill. She was one of those birds that sat on old Isaac's lap. And our school people, and I like saying it when someone who was at my school is here, there was blatant tutors banging students. And it wasn't a college, it wasn't a university. I'm talking about a state comp. And it wasn't like subtle, it wasn't hidden. Like there was one teacher in particular, although there were others, because there's other stories, and these aren't stories that, oh, did you hear? It's just like, patterns forming. But there was one teacher in the dinner break, he'd have like 14-year-old girls sitting on his knee. He'd have his hand round them, like up under their shirt and things. And you'd be like, I asked this girl, Susan Clark, out once, and she went, "No, it's all right. I've got a boyfriend." And she looked round at him. We used to call him Dungeon Master because he looked like Dungeon Master from that kids' TV program, Dungeons and Dragons. Like, not the best catch, but the best catch for young girls with father issues, any attention from an adult male, essentially. And when she said that and looked at him, he winked at me. He winked as if to say, "Go on, run along, little boy. I'm banging her." I was like, "Hey?" Madness. No way is Paul Squire on the firm. Right, speaking of which, I've had no donations. Now I am a professional full-time writer. What that really means is please help with the YouTube donations as well. If you use that, you can put your camera over it and you'll get a link. That's Buy Me a Coffee. That's the best one, really. Or you've got the super chat at the bottom of the YouTube chat. There's that. I'm just going to show you the cover. I'm going to do a call in a minute because I really just wanted to make contact, let you know I was alive. I've still got something about Freds to tell you, but just have a look at that thumbnail. I just want you to realise that ain't me. I look like this. Maybe I can balance it out a bit better. All right? So I put a picture of me into AI and I said, make that bloke in that picture look like he's almost a zombie. He's on the turn. And it gave me that. Look at it. And I'll tell you what, on the sly, I thought I'm not going to let my missus see that because she'll think he's no spring chicken. It won't be long before he does look like that. Look at it. I don't remember saying to the AI, show me what I'm going to look like in 10 years. Look at it. That's all I said to it. Make me look like I'm a zombie on the turn. But no, I did say, but still recognisable as me. Oh, I think that shows balls to use it though. Balls stroke stupidity. Thank you everyone who's helping me out um, on the old X. I'm doing this thing on X. Oh, fair damn play to. No ways today's the days. Long time no see, brother. Yeah, still out here. Bought a bit of land in the jungle. My Colonel Kurtz apocalypse. Wow. See what I done? dream is coming true, where we're moving in there when I can afford it. So I don't know, 30, 33, 20, 33 or something. Lovely to see you. Lovely to see you opening the grift doors. Amazing. Yeah, I'm still out here. It'll be 8 years in March. Where's time gone, eh? Where's it gone? Thank you, mate. Aprasha Kanatu. So threads, right? Threads. So not only did it take me 7 hours to set it up, so like I've got my work Instagram tethered to a Facebook account that's not in my name. All this madness that's making it just even with AI helping me. And then it said, "Oh, you have to tether it," or it said link, but I've been using the word tether because I've been writing about goats in the new novel, and to an Instagram account. So I had to set up my own Instagram account. That's weird. I've now got an Instagram account, no posts, no followers, no following. It's like, thanks. Is that actually going to help me? I don't know. But on Threads, I just started writing stuff, like repurposing old content from Substack, just little things like, quotes from writers and things. And I enabled notifications to get an idea of the lay of the land and all that. And I'm getting more engagement on there than I am on, apart from YouTube, any other social media platform. Like I woke up this morning with loads of notifications. Oh, this post has had 1,200 views. 90 people liked this post. And then I looked into it and I joined what I think are a couple of threads, like writer's thread and author's thread. I don't want to come across arrogant here, and I almost certainly will, but I studied art. Now, what does studying art mean? You don't go in there and learn how to. I learned all about colour theory, composition, form, shape, line, structure. I learned all about that on my illustration course and on my foundation in fine art. But by the time you get to a degree, it's almost all theory. And essentially, it's the history of art. And the history of art is the history of culture. Because when you look at a painting from the Renaissance period or an installation from the early modernist period, you're not really discussing the item, the image, the item, the sound or whatever. You're discussing the cultural context, the modes of production and social connection that allow that image, sound, whatever to be formed, produced, consumed, labelled as art, accepted, valued, marketed, etc., etc. So you're actually learning those things. That's what an art education is. And then I went on to study a master's degree, cultural studies, where I majored in post-structuralism and Freud. So that's semiotics. My master's degree dissertation was about Derrida and storytelling. And as much as I tell stories about fucking around and getting busy with substances and ladies of easy leisure, I also did learn a lot and study a lot and have continued to, study that field. But the level of discourse on a writer's thread, it started off being upsetting and then it was just nonsense. Paul Squires is a skin offering. It's not. It's $1.99. It's brilliant. Nice one, Paul. Here's a skin offering as thanks for everything. Macho capuchinata to potato. It's great. Nice one, Paul. They're stupid. And a bit of me is happy about that because it's like these people aren't going to be much competition. I know that sounds a bit of a brutal way of looking at it, but I'm not just a writer anymore. I'm also a self-publisher. And the clue's in those words. I have to publish. I have to market. I have to talk about my work. On my degree, we had a whole series of seminars called Ways of Talking About Your Art. Because if you can't talk about it, you're almost useless. Because when I approach Waterstones, when I go wide, and I say to them, look, how about I do a reading and a Q&A and a blah, 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 blah. I'll have to engage with them. And I'll have to start talking about my writing process to the person who's going to decide whether they're going to have me in there talking about my novel. And like I put a thing up today, I said on Threads, what is the difference between writing, like we're talking about novels here, what's the difference between writing and editing? Now, it's a very Derridian point to make, I accept that. But people just sit on these assumptions. The whole of Western metaphysics has sat on assumptions. Just hasn't thought about them. It's inherited them blindly and just gone, it'll be all right. And when Derrida come along and said, well, hang on a minute, they ignored him because they knew they'd have to start thinking from the start again. And what is the difference between editing and writing? What does a writer do? What does a novelist do? A novelist adds words and takes words away in the pursuit of better tell. I can see a couple of super chats coming through. Thank you. I'll remind me to tell you the fridge story, and you'll see why that's important. Well, it's always important. But a writer of a novelist adds and or removes words in the pursuit of better telling a story. What does an editor do? Adds and removes words in the pursuit of better telling a story. It's not some philosophical paradox, and it's all right to question these things just because you've accepted them. It's all right to say, well, actually, you've got a point there. And the answers they were coming back with I was like, and like asking things like, usually I say these things just to give people a bit of a bitch slap on Twitter or something, or X, but I'm like, see, this isn't a joke. I'm like, are you like 12 or something? Just before we get into this. Because they're like, oh, you idiot. So obviously there's a difference. I'm like, well, just stating that isn't really an argument, is it? What is the difference between being a writer or writing, and editing? And you want to see these people talking themselves in knots, trying to define it. Someone's like, well, I'm a professional editor, but I'm not a professional writer. You're making my argument for me. Just by all you've said is, well, actually, I'm gonna maintain that assumption simply because the institution, our culture, has separated the two. It's like, and then someone else is like, well, an editor refines what the writer's written. And I'm like, what? A writer doesn't refine what they've written? Does a writer just splat words out? Like get a dictionary and just chop it up and throw it in a basket and give it to an editor to arrange? And they don't, and then I just get blocked. Like I had it with someone the other day. I said, it was another one of these assumptions. I was like, do you use chapters? First answer, of course. Right? I haven't got anything against chapters, but I said, if you're a writer and you're the main thing I say to people who ask for my advice about writing is forget about writing, forget about books, forget about novels. Just tell the fucking story. And where was I going to go with that? It's a cracker. Oh yeah, chapters. So in the pursuit of truth, even if you're writing fiction, total fiction, there is a truth to your story because you are you. You know, you're not writing stuff that doesn't mean anything to you. You're writing stuff that means a lot to you. You can't sit down and write 300,000 words unless it means something to you. And so when this geezer's like, of course I use chapters. My question, which seems like a very lightweight and fair question. Why? I asked why. Why do you use chapters? And I know they're probably Googling it now. For the first time in their so-called writer's life, they're now trying to come to terms with the fact that they've been splitting their story up into chunks. And people get back to me and say things like, well, it makes it easier to read for the reader, doesn't it? What are your readers for? What, what? Chapter 2. What difference does that really make? Just end the previous bit and start the next bit. Because according to that logic, you might as well just have paragraph 1 and then you've got a paragraph. And then for the next paragraph, start on the next page. Paragraph 2. And then we can move it on more than that. Line 1. Because that makes it easier for the reader. If chapters do, then surely doing the same to paragraphs do. And then if it does to paragraphs, we could start doing it with words. Word 1, I. Word 2, went. Word 3, to. I mean, it makes it easier for the reader. Now, let me tell you something you might not know. The idea of chapters comes from the formation of the codex. Before the codex comes from a Latin word, I think is codis or codices, meaning a block of wood. Because that's what that is. That's a block of wood, essentially, and it's paper. Paper comes from trees. It's a block of wood. Because before we had books, before we had the codex, we had scrolls. What we call stories were written on scrolls. They weren't written on slabs of wood, on pages. Pages bound together that you turn over as like leaves. That's the codex. And chapters, the origin story of chapters comes from typesetting. It comes from typesetting. It doesn't come from authors thinking, I think at this stage I'll put an arbitrary break and just name this chapter 2. No. Typesetters would get to a bit and then think, well, hang on a minute, this is gonna compositionally, this might look a bit strange because it's only going to have 2 lines here. So what we'll do is we'll break that and we'll leave a clean page and then have chapter 2. So you've got writers who, according to them, are in the pursuit of telling a story, who've inherited a functional aspect of typesetting from the arrival of the codex, and they're pretending to know why. That's what does me. The best way to learn anything is to say, I don't know. Why do you use chapters? I don't know, actually. I have never thought about it. And then you might learn, because someone who might know or has looked into it can tell you. And then you might start questioning why you use them, and you might drop them out altogether. Some girl wrote something. She said something, her post on Threads. This is in a writer's thread. Like, I dream of like a writer's discourse where I can sit around talking to people. I get it with Will to an extent, but he's hard work, which I also enjoy. But he's busy. I can't always expect him to have long conversations with me about semiotics and grammatology or whatever. But these people are just not that bright. She said this thing. She went. I've published 14 novels, and then she said, what was it? Oh, I'm trying to remember so I can give you the example. I think it was makes easier, which might not sound wrong now, but in context, hang on, let me see if I can find it. Oh yeah, yeah. Because I don't know how to use threads, this isn't going to be as easy as I thought. Where's that? Anyway, she. Oh, I really want to show you. Oh, I can't find it, but I think she'd use a double comparative. What the hell is that? She'd used a double comparative. I've got nothing against breaking rules in writing. I do it all the time. I mean, all this show don't tell. No, sometimes just telling's fine. Um, don't use the passive voice. No, use the passive voice. It's brilliant. It's really good. And you know, if you live 4 decades of writing where no one's using the passive voice, start using it, and it's taken on a different meaning in a new context. And I said to her, she said something. She said, "I've published 14 books, but I can't remember this double comparative she used." But I said, I'm just surprised someone who's published 14 books would use a double comparative. It's so totally out of place. And she got back to me and she went, that's because I'm a professional publisher and I can do what I want. And, I thought, oh man, I don't want to start arguing about business. I'm a professional publisher. I said to her, I said, what do you mean by that? What, you upload books? And she's essentially, after about 10 messages, her answer was yes. And I looked at them and there was no sales, no reviews, but she's a professional publisher. She puts it on threads. I've published 14 books. And at the end I said, I don't understand your motivation to defend this double comparative. And then she went, that's probably why you've only got 10 followers. Bye. Thanks. Thanks. But yeah, so now again, as a self-publisher, I've now got to work regularly on Facebook, X, Threads, Instagram, YouTube, Substack, 6 platforms, and you can't put the same stuff on all of them. You can, but people start realizing, and then you need numbers from your other platforms to help boost your early numbers, and they're not going to go there. A few might to help you out. I mean, if you're on Threads, do us a favour and follow us. But that's before I've even done any writing, and that's why this stream is called "I've got no fuel left in the tank." I 100% am only doing this stream to let you know I'm still alive. The channel ain't going anywhere. I will get back to regular streaming, getting guests on, and all that. Like, oh Lord, what happened with Teddy Dutton? Teddy Dutton, I love Edward, love him. Great, great to talk to, intelligent bloke. I have seen the super chats and the memberships come through. I'll deal with all of them in one, and I really appreciate it. I imagine most of them are memberships, but I said to Teddy, oi, I said, check this out. And I sent him a screenshot of this on Amazon. And it said, people who bought this also bought, and it was one of Teddy Dutton's books. And I thought, you understand why he'd find that amusing. And we agreed to have a chat on his channel. And I don't expect him to spend 2 hours talking about my novel, but we got into a really interesting chat about the writing process, about writing as a 14-year-old, how language changes. And he said, I spotted a couple of likes in there, which I don't think was so ubiquitous in the late 80s. And I explained to him how, because the character goes from 14 to 15, the writing style has to grow as well, but you can't just contrive it. If you're keeping a journal at those years where you're really growing, I went through puberty between 14 and 15. The writing at the end of the book is better than it is at the beginning. And we were really getting into it. It was great. And at the end of it, I thought, this is a great, what a great interview. He let me talk. I let him talk. We've both been doing YouTube for a decade, if not more. And the way marketing's going, the trend in marketing at the moment is the story behind the object. Think of a lot of YouTube channels you watch or even adverts that you see. There's a lot of YouTube channels, people building houses in the wilderness. And it's not about living in the house, which it would have been 5 years ago, 7 years ago. That channel would have got 2 million subscribers. Oh, we live in a log cabin in the middle of Alaska. Here's our life. But the channels that are doing well now are how they left their old life, why they left their old life, finding a plot, raising the money, a GoFundMe, doing this, a bit of this, working 3 jobs each, finally letting the kids fuck off to university and all that. Building the house, all the problems they encountered, the story behind the object. And that's what the interview with Teddy Dutton felt like. And I thought this will be lovely because I'm actually an ethical marketer. I don't want to con people. I don't want any of you to buy my novel if you're not going to like it. You can ask me anything about it and I'll be honest with you. It doesn't make sense. I think it's ugly because unethical marketing is playing with your emotions. We've talked about this many times on this channel. Since about the 1940s, Eddie Bernays and Ernest Dichter, they realised don't try and engage with people's logical, rational mind or brain when trying to sell them something. This is the fastest car in America today. 4 seats, finest leather, a gear stick to dream about. No, hit them in the emotions. They sold what do they call it? A convertible. Some car company released a convertible and it just wasn't selling. A convertible where it's like a normal car, but then you can take the roof off. I'm not really a car person, so I'd say I'm sure you're all there going, yeah, we know what a convertible is. Is that the same as a coupe or a coupe? I don't know. Not a chicken coop. Anyway, but they weren't selling, and they went to Ernest Dichter, and he proved himself so much. This was the bloke who went to Colgate and said, "I'll sell 15% more your toothpaste if you want," and they were like, "Yeah, all right." And he'd done his research because he knew how the new marketing worked, and he'd done his focus groups. He invented focus groups, Ernest Dichter, and he put the work in to study. He didn't just do an advert. Bling, we've got lovely white teeth because we use Colgate. he found out that people don't have a set amount of toothpaste. That ain't how it works. They go by the length of their brush. So if their brush is an inch long, they'll go an inch of toothpaste. Some people will go half of that, but it will always be directed by the length of the toothbrush. So Ernest Dictor said to Colgate, widen the aperture of the end of the tube by 15%. So, because people go by length, the width don't matter. And 15% more came out. Sales went up 15%. So people trusted him. And Eddie Bernays, Freud's nephew, I've told you this, the old, what was it, cigarettes. He got a load of women to pretend to be feminists to essentially go and hijack a feminist march. I can't remember what he called them. Someone in the chat might know. Hello, Christopher Valls. How lovely to see you. They were called something like fire sticks of power. John says, "What's toothpaste?" But then Eddie Bernays contacted all the papers and said, "Oi, I'll tell you why, because Peter Stuyvesant, all the cigarette marketing board wanted women to smoke. Women didn't used to smoke. They did on the sly, but let's get women smoking. They might have called them something like torches of power. Hang on, let me find it out. Bernays women smoking campaign. I can't type that far. They are torches of freedom. Bernays hired women to march while smoking their torches of freedom on the Easter Sunday parade of the 31st of March 1929, 16 years after his uncle published The Interpretation of Dreams, which became a bestseller. And it's not a book about, if you dream about this, this happens to you, because dreams don't work like that. Dreams that are language, and they happen in context. Some person might dream that their ears fall off. Another person might dream that their ears fall off. But because they're different people, those dreams mean different things. And what a psychoanalyst would do is find out what those differences are, what symbolic relationship ears and losing them have to you rather than them, or just you. But the old torches of freedom, Bernays got loads of people to ring up all the press and said, on the Easter parade, a lot of crazy feminists are going to turn up with torches of freedom. And he told all these women, he gave them all like a couple of dollars, and he said, oh my days, save the fucking world, bless you. Oh,
you didn't have to stop midstream.
59 minutes on my own, man. It was killing me, Picard. People, what do you reckon? The big one or the little one? Right, people, put in the chat, big or little. Cast your votes now. This is big. This is little. Packer's doing the clock.
My arm's not going to go all the way around.
You're going to struggle.
Don't wait for anything spectacular. Done.
I think big as one. Do you agree with that, Picard? Lovely to see you, mate.
Hello. Yeah, I would have been here. I've been watching you 45 minutes, but my missus has been outside with the new ferrets.
With the new ferrets?
Yeah,
that's
I spent the afternoon building a hutch, and then we went and got some new ferrets. So
you're very quiet, but that's probably me, to be honest with you. I've just turned myself up. Anyway, I won't finish. Let me just finish this. So Torches of Freedom, all that. Colgate. I can't remember what I was talking about. Oh yeah, the way marketing is going is telling the stories behind the object. And so, had a great 2 hours chat with Teddy Dutton. We only stopped because the internet started playing up. He blamed me, but I knew it was him really. And people just assume it's me because I'm in Cambodia, but I've got an exceptionally fast internet connection. You know why? Because you can dig up roads in Cambodia and it doesn't gridlock the M25 in 10 minutes. In Soho, I didn't even have fibre broadband. Because if you dig up Lexington Street, the M25 doesn't move within 10 minutes. Whereas Cambodia, you can shut the whole city down and the country doesn't notice. This is a fact. Loads of third world or third world adjacent countries have better internet than very well established and built up cities because you can't start digging roads up in the middle of major cities. Anyway, why did I get to that? Oh yeah, so I'm waiting for Teddy Dutton to put that video live. Every day I go to his channel. I'm like, this would be good, because Edward was really interested in what I was saying. It was a good conversation. It's following the marketing trend. People like understand. There's a bit more to this writing lark than meets the eye. It's not just a few like naughty stories about being a kid. There's a lot here. There's tears and there's laughter and there's challenges you wouldn't have thought of. And then the fucker put it behind a paywall on his Substack. I'm so gutted. If he'd have said to me, "Yeah, we'll do a chat. I'll put it on a paywall behind a paywall on my Substack," I'd have said, "No, don't worry about it. I'd rather write for 2 hours or do a stream." Like it was a great chat, and I am sort of playing it for laughs a little bit, but. Gutted. A video on his channel probably get 10, 15,000 views. Behind a paywall on his Substack, I think he's got about 7 likes. 2 hours. 2 hours. I haven't got 2 hours. I tell you, do you remember old Benny Boyce? Benjamin Boyce. He exposed that radical leftist university because he went there when it all kicked off back in the day. I can't remember, but I contacted him. I said, "Oi, Benny," because he's been on my channel. I've been on his channel a few years back. I said, "I've just released a novel. Obviously, I'm trying to promote it, but we can have a good chat about language and publishing." And he was like, "Yeah, I'm up for it." And he got back to me. He said, He said, "I'll record it, edit it, and then put it out as a video rather than a live stream." I said, "Yeah, no problem." Then I got another email from him. He's like, "I record on Tuesday mornings about between Tuesday mornings between midday and 2, something like that. Looked at the time conversion, worked perfectly for me for once." I said, "Yeah, that's sweet. That's about 8 o'clock in the evening, my time, no problem." He went, "All right." 3 weeks, nothing from him. Nothing. I've emailed him. just disappeared. And then he followed me on Twitter, on X. He followed me. So I thought, well, okay, well, he's obviously still up for it. So I DM him and said, "Hello, Ben. You kind of disappeared. That was 6 days ago. I haven't heard anything." I don't know what's going on, man. I don't know what's going on. Not Boise, not the Boise. Benjamin Boyce. He's a good lad. He's a good lad. Interesting bloke. Clever bloke. John. Well, he's a professor, in fairness. He's put a lot of time, money, and effort into getting qualifications and knowledge. And he is a full-time content maker. That's what he does. He sells books and he sells his input. So I do understand that. I expect to get donations on Substack and on here. Actually, I better check me old buy me a coffee, which I've got over here, and it looks like a graveyard. Let's go through these super chats and that, and we'll have a chat with Pack. We done today's. We done Mr. Paul Squire. JP's been on the firm for 59 months. No, you haven't. You've been around here a lot longer than that. Captain Picard, 59 months. No, you haven't. You've been around here a lot longer than that. But this week's winner, with a staggering 60 months, is Zeitgeist himself. You've been around here a lot longer than that. Nice one, Zeitgeist. Nice one, JP. Nice one, Picard. And Alan. 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 Says, so you're a bullshitter. Now, I don't know what context you're saying that, but I can still likely say yes. Yeah, I can. Pardon, Picard?
You were talking about being a storyteller.
You knew when that came through, did you?
Yeah, I was watching.
Look at him watching at home, watching me suffer, watching me struggle. Picard. Wait, Picard, seeing as we've both gone big, Alan, I'm going to come back to you. Let's see if we can do half face, half face.
Oh, wait. Hang on. I can't.
Look at me doing it perfectly and that lunatic not understanding basic geometry.
Are you the other side? Are you that side?
Look at him, look at him struggling.
Which side are you?
Dancing.
That's not the middle, eh?
He likes to party. What are you playing at? Look at Packer. There you go, you're there, you're nearly there.
Yeah.
Look, half your face.
I've got. Oh, this is shit with this camera.
You're nearly there, you're nearly there. Go on, no, down a bit. Too much mouth. Too much. Move it over. No, yeah. Look at that. Look, that's it. Hang on, that's it. Amazing.
It doesn't look right.
I got so much fun out of that. Oh, that's interesting. So it wasn't. Apologies.
No, you were on the wrong side of the screen to me. That's why I was looking like a twonk to start with.
No, and I'm going to take all that back then because I get it. So I'm over there. So you actually didn't have something to match up to.
Yeah.
So that's near impossible, which actually makes you amazing because you actually pulled it off. Show Packer some love in the chat, people. I feel a little bit bad now calling him Down syndrome. Not that there's anything right with that. Alan, thank you. You know I've always been a bullshitter. You know, I'm just trying to make it a profession. Thank you, Alan. Hope you're well. Zeitgeist drops $14.99. The Evans conspire against me tonight. Check it later. Do you think he means the stream, Packer? You're muted, I think, or you're whispering.
No, I was muted. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Well, whatever it is, Zeitgeist, I hope you're well. And thanks for the donation. The real Vincent Griffin has been on the firm for 37 months. No, you haven't, Vinny. You've been around here a lot longer than that. Nice one, mate. And look at this, people. Not only has he been a member for 37 months, he's just joined. Look at that. The real Vincent Griffin, member for 37 months. The real Vincent Griffin became a YouTube member. Look at that Packer. Maybe because I haven't streamed for a week. Sorry, I am sorry. He thought, I ain't having this. I see you mentioned that Spiritualised are playing at some arts centre. Yeah, fuck that off. It's quite funny, actually. Spaceman 3, which was Pete Kember, who's a bit of a twit, really, Jason Pierce, and I can't remember the bass player's name. He wrote a book. It was called Playing Bass with Three Left Hands, and it was about his time in Spaceman 3. And it's funny because every gig they done, they were on acid. And some arts centre got hold of them, their management got hold of this arts centre. And I can't remember exactly what it was called. It was something like an evening of what's the old Indian instrument called? Down, down. Oh, I can't believe I can't remember what that's called.
Sitar.
Ravi Shankar plays one.
Sitar.
Yeah, it's a sitar. That's it. It's called. It was
Sorry.
called an evening of sitar music or something like that. And they didn't even have a sitar. It was just Jay Spaceman, Pete Kember, and the bass player just tripping, just turning buttons and in some art centre. And they got asked to stop after about 5 minutes. You can still buy the album though. I think it's called Dream Weapon, and it isn't. It isn't. It's neither a dream nor a weapon. It certainly isn't a dream weapon. Anyway, moving on. Lartus actually won. He beat Zeitgeist by 1 month. And I have to say it again. I've got to know Lartus very well. Not very well, but more than I've known him for years because of all the help he's given me with the novel. He's a funny fella. Lartus, can I show that photograph of you? If you don't want me to, I won't. I honestly won't. But Lartus was telling me I'm trying to get him to sell books, but he's not too interested in all the marketing side of it. It does his head in, and I understand that it's not fun unless you're into it. And I've been marketing for 20 years. But he said I'm going to get a costume. Like he knows all the names of them, like some Plantagenet costume or something. And he said, I've got an arm. And he showed me the arm. And it's like one of those sort of, like, like what? Not an arm, like a sleeve. Sleeve, I should say. Packer looked at me as if to go, what? I've got an arm. And he had this sleeve. And he said, yeah, he said, soon I'll have the whole costume. And I said to him, I said, on TikTok and on YouTube Shorts, I'm just reading little sections from my book, same cover, same hashtags, just, TikTok and YouTube Shorts, rewards repetition, rewards simplicity. I said, just stick the cover of one of your books up there, read a little bit. And that's all from research and knowing how marketing works. And Lartus just, no, not listening. Don't care. He's like, no. He said, I'm going to sit there in my outfit with a sword or something and read his novels. And I was like, and don't get me wrong, people. He not only did he format my novel, I said I'd pay him, and he said, well, we'll sort that out later when you get some royalties. And I offered him the other day, I said, we need to sort out some money, really. And he didn't even mention it again. More for him. He gets 2 more chances. But he's also made corrections for me. Yesterday, he made a correction for me. I didn't say, please do it immediately because I'm going wide and I'm uploading it so that it can go to Waterstones and all that. But he knew I was sitting here going, please do it now. Please do it now. And he did. He done it. Like, he must have stopped what he wasn't doing and just done it. And it was like just one little word. And he done it, bless him. That my novel doesn't get published without the help that Lartus gave me. That's a fact. But he's turned into a very interesting bloke, and he's been really helpful. But I just want to see whether I can show that photo. Let's see. I'm just looking. I'm just going through the chats. Hello, Ams. How are you? Oh, hang on a minute. Stick a 59 in the chat for my boy Tom. It's his birthday. Happy birthday, Tom. 59. Incredible. Stick a 59 in the chat, people. You've done well. They reckon people our age are going to live to about 80. I fucking hope not. Hello, Baz. Mr. Vols. I ain't seen you in a long time, Volsy. I'll tell you who followed me on Threads. I won't because I've forgotten his name. Do you remember that bloke who was an artist? Not the bloke who does all the 50s stuff, but there was another artist. But when I got a bit ill he realised how much time he was spending. What it was during the COVID time. He realised how much time he was spending watching the streams and not working, and so never come back. So that was a shame. But he followed me. I'll remember his name a bit later. You'll all recognise it. It's just I can't remember it. Hello, Wolfensteiner. How are you? Martin's not. He's got some people. Martin. Some people send me photos of my stream on their flat screen telly on the wall. Yeah, I'm not. I wouldn't be too happy about having my boat race like that big on the wall. Abstract Steve is on the firm. Sir, sitar, he said. That's right. I'm well back. I want to know if Lars. All right. Okay. So he's given the go ahead. Now listen, Lars knows. Listen to my fucking nodules. Let me just drink some water. John, I have learned that without a doubt, Lars is 100% an alcoholic. There's no doubt. If you need him to do something or you want to talk to him, you've got to catch him before about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Because after that, it's just maudlin alcoholic nonsense. But credit to Lars because he knows how funny I think this picture is. And when he sent it to me, I think my reply was just me laughing my head off at him. And I said to him, I tell you what, I cannot wait for the day when you upload your first YouTube short or your first TikTok dressed up in that outfit with your sword and your novel. half pissed. Going, took his sword out and said, Sothi dragon on his tired nose. and he knows I'm absolutely taking the piss. Right, I'm guessing that's what the outfit is. It's a Landesknecht. But he knows I'm not putting this picture up because I think it's good. I'm putting it up because it's absolutely ridiculous for anyone above the age of 9 to get an outfit like this. And I think it cost him a few grand as well. Now, at the same time, though, indulge yourself. You know, he's a bright bloke. He worked hard for a living. He made a load of money. He's got a lovely life. I talked to Lars's kid. I talked to Illuminatus' kid. And I tell you what, he just walked in the background. I think he's about 16, 17 or something. And I said, "Oi, Lars." I said, "Let me have a word with him." And he come over. What a lovely, confident, did not give a shit. But like not in like a sort of don't care. But, just happy to talk to a complete stranger, answered my, rolling questions before, really impressed. And I've got to give that to Lars because that's his son. I hope this isn't really awkward and actually Lars is his stepdad and I don't know this. They're all sitting at home at the moment going, oh no, they are now. But no, really nice young man. I was very impressed. I'm just getting that in. I see a couple of super chats have come in. I will. I'll do them now because one of them is Zeitgeist, and he might want to saying what he was saying earlier. I don't know. Osmeister, fair play, off the cancer. People, if you remember, Osmeister told us they were going to cut half his stomach out. This was about, 8 weeks ago. Just dropped it in. Look at that. Fair play to you, man. Don't rush back to work, obviously, unless you want to. Have they sorted? I don't want to say the other thing because that's for you to talk about. But is that been sorted out as well, or are you still dealing with that? But fair play, man. Fair play. I know plenty of people dropping like flies from the big sea, but Nice one. Nice, nice. Because otherwise, one day you just wouldn't have been here. And that's the reality of life. So thank you very much for letting us know. Show Osmeister some love, people. He's just survived. He didn't just have like chemo or something. They cut half his stomach out. Look at that. He's going back to work. Fucking hell. I'd use that as an excuse to never do anything again. I've got to get back on the crack. Thank you for the donation as well. It's a bit small for someone who's just survived cancer. I'd have thought you'd have been a bit more generous, to be honest with you. I'd have thought money would have been, wouldn't have meant much to you. Most people who survive like life-threatening illnesses, they go, I don't care about things like money anymore. But you're usually a £10, dropping in the lowest donation you've ever, just when you survived cancer. Quite frankly, is a little bit disappointing. I'm only doing it because Packer was laughing. Sorry, Osmeister.
I'm saying it's different if you think you don't need it, isn't it?
Exactly. I just should have tapped him out a few weeks ago. Zeitgeist says, I yield to far superior Illuminatus. Zeitgeist, I'm lost with what you've said tonight. You previously said, the heavens conspire against me tonight, check it later. Now you yield to a superior Latus. Oh, here we go. Yeah, check it later at work. So lurking on. Oh, fair play, fair play. I still don't know about yielding to the far superior Latus, but what I can say is, it's been really nice getting to know him a bit more. And again, my book isn't published without him. I just couldn't have done it. And he he knows enough about me to know that I was so shit at everything. Like he says, right, open up your KDP dashboard. So I do that. Then he says, right, open up where it says bookshelf. Literally, I go, what? Do I press the button that says bookshelf? And he's like, yeah. And like just kept, his patience. And then they go, right, now press save and continue. I go, is that button that says save and continue? And they'd be like, yeah. He was really, really patient, really helpful, and it was lovely. So yeah, thank you Zeitgeist for those last two. Thank you Osmeister. Thank you Latus for and Vincent for your memberships, and Alan and Zeitgeist again, and Zeitgeist membership. And I think we've done the other ones. Oh, my voice. I promised the missus I'd only do an hour and a half, but I'm getting into it now. Picard has turned up. Let me I'll get this photo of Lumi. Now, remember, he sent me this through choice. You're going to crack up. John Palmer is just sitting there, just going, I bet he's there going, just put the fucking photo up. I bet JP can't wait to see this. This is what alcohol does to an old man's brain. What you've got to remember, people, is Latus thinks this looks amazing. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. And fair play to him. I just think it's humiliating, which is why it makes me laugh. So I'm sort of taking the piss, but also there is also I've just seen it. His boat race, man, his expression. He honestly thinks he's there, about to slay a dragon. Oh, it's beautiful. His face, Lars. Why did you pull that face? I'm literally dribbling it with excitement to share this with you. I'm zooming right into your boat, Lars. Jimmy from Philly bought you're going to get a video response. I've got the videos working on Buy Me a Coffee. Yeah, nice one, James. Are you in the chat? James bought one. He says, for the grift. Nice one. I'll put that on the screen in a minute, Jimmy, but I've just got to get this latest one done. So Latus in the chat. Oh, there he is. Nice one, James. The Prashik and R2. Oh, that's lovely. That's all those lovely birthday um, greetings. And respect to you, Osmeister, for getting through that cancer. Mega Essex boy is on the firm. Hello, son. No, they're all his. No, he was what an absolute pleasure to talk to. I mean, more interesting than you, to be honest with you. But right, here we go, people. I've got it. JP, are you still here? There he is. Hello, Matt Zucker. Didn't know you were here either. No way. Long time no speak, Jed. Jed, did you get a look at that movie? Tom, can't remember his name. The war room or something. The war scene, the battle scene. Lars. I'd sent it to you over on Buy Me a Coffee. Good to see you, Jed. Hope you're doing well. The old markets have been a bit weird, haven't they? But they're still doing all right. I think you'll enjoy it. I think you'll enjoy it. It's hard work. What's the actor's name who directed it? Short bloke. That rounds it down. Al Pacino. Right, here we go, people. This is Latas. John Palmer, let me know you're ready. He's even got the shoes, man. It's not DeVito, no. Good actor. He played the main character in Made in Britain, that 1970s skin exploitation film. Good movie, though, Made in Britain. He's in Pulp Fiction. John's got his dick in his hand. Amazing. Right, are you ready for this? Tim Roth, that's it. It's Tim Roth, and I think the movie's called The War Room or something. Hang on, let me just check. I met Tim Roth at Soho House Toilets once. The War Zone. Tim Roth, The War Zone. It's an hello, Barney, by the way. Nice to see you, mate. Hello, Pags. I'm sure I've acknowledged Pags. It's a difficult film to watch, and seriously, it might. It's hard to say. I don't like to say this, but some of the stories I've written, a couple of women wrote to me in private and said, "I'm sorry, I love your writing, but I can't read that because it's a bit close to home," and I get that. And so, if you do check out Tim Roth's The War Room, The War Zone, just be aware it's a bit keeping it in the family, so to speak, and it's an hard watch, but great performances, great scripting, great storytelling. Right, we're going to go from that to something quite different. Here we go. Latas, ladies and gentlemen, in his full kit. I think it cost him a few grand. Here it goes. Hang on, let me hide that. Look at that. Look at Packer's boat race. He don't know what to make of it. Look, where's JP? JP's fallen off his seat.
Do you remember the storyteller?
Look
I
at
am
it.
the storyteller, and my stories must be told. Do you remember that?
In England, I am Johan. In
Yeah, that's it,
France,
right?
I am Lars. Let's have a look at the boots. Sorry. Look at the donkey. I can't do it. I can't. John says he looks like the Jack of Hearts from an Alice in Wonderland. But Lars loves it. Lars, do you want to come on and tell us a bit about it? Yeah, I'll put the link in the chat, Lars. This isn't a call-in show, people. This is for Lars only.
Not now, he don't know.
Oh no, I reckon he will. He knows.
Laughing.
He knows I find it amusing, but he doesn't. He loves it, and like I say, it's fair play. But he first showed me. He first showed me just that sleeve. I mean, look at the actual work that's gone into it.
Yeah.
That sleeve. Oh, sorry, I'm not very good at this bit. Look at his sword though, but look at that face. Look, you wouldn't want that coming at you, would you, in a dark alley? or light lit alley, or any alley. No, oh, you're all right, Larters. No problem, mate. No problem. But fair play for letting me put it up. I'll tell you what, though, I used to love that storyteller show. I used to get home from school and really like it. But there you go, people. That's what happens when you have a middle. That's what happens to a science fiction writer when they have a midlife crisis. Not science fiction, fantasy. John Palmer reckons those shoes are Crocs. Yeah,
You have to carry a sword because them shoes ain't for running, are they?
but you also have to carry a sword because you're wearing those shoes.
Oh
You
yeah, and
wear
that yeah.
walk through Dartford with those shoes on, and you're going to need that sword. James, it's not a calling. Oh, go on, James. Come on, try again, mate. I will. I'll have you on. I'll have you on. And like, no way is Dawn Browning on the firm. Did I just see Dawn Browning? I did. Dawn, thank you for playing along with my Elon Musk ridiculous escapade, shall we say? I've just read what you said. Try again, James. Hello, Toffee. Newcastle United. Speaking of the football, what a lovely weekend's football it was for the Arsenal. Oh, Spuds beat. We won't talk about football. Yeah, James, I'll put the link in the chat again. My nose, listen to my nose. Look, I'm fucked, man. Did you like that, young Dawn? How are you, love? Your garden's looking beautiful. Dawny, quite contrary. How do your garden grow? I'm sure I had some things to show you. Let me see if I can find a couple of them before, while James is working out how to come back on. I wonder if I've banned him and he can't come back on now. I didn't. I just kicked him out of the studio. Sure, there were some funny things. Oh, I watched David Starkey talking to David Betts about the likelihood of a civil war in England. And it was weird because they kind of came to pretty much my thoughts. I mean, it's been going on for 20, 30 years. You know, that they've been bringing their army in slowly. I had a real hard time the other night thinking, you know, sometimes you get those moments of clarity, and I just thought, you know, that place I grew up in was a magnificent place to live, even without a pot to piss in. It was great. And just look what they've done to it. Lars, I'll take that picture off the screen now. It's there you go. There's James from Philadelphia's donation for the grift. Thank you very much, James. Where have you gone, though, son? I'll bring you back in if you want to come on. It's just I wasn't going to do a call in, but you're good value. Oh, excuse me. How do I stop that? There you go. Did people, they wanted it big, didn't they? Oh, fair play. Look at John Palmer. To be fair, the more I look at Loomy, the better he looks. There you go. It might work after all. It's only my opinion, isn't it? But I've looked at it a bit longer, John, and it goes full circle. Yeah, there was an element of that about it, Wolfie, but he was still what did the young people say? Spitting facts. Oh God, someone on Thread said preach to me earlier. And I just said no. No. Preach. No. Here we go. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only, the buffering beauty. Look at his Barnet Fair. Look
I
at
just
that.
I just came in from outside and I had like one of those baklava or whatever the fuck it is hats on. Fuck my hair
That's a
off.
that's a a Turkish sweet, a baklava. Oh, you fucked me up now, but I know what you mean. You were
Yeah,
out on a job.
Balaclava, everybody.
There you
baklava.
go.
That's a Greek dessert, actually.
Is it Greek, not Turkish? Fucking hell, you
Yeah,
corrected me.
I worked at a Greek restaurant where we had to use to flame the food and yell "opa" and all that bullshit. So
What's the lovely one, which is essentially just a little block of sugar with a little slice of almond on top?
you know what? I forget, but I know what you're talking about. I forget what
Delicious
that.
with a cup of that mint. They do that nice mint tea, don't they? Out those
Yeah,
little pots. Yeah.
that is pretty good.
Wait, how comes even though your Barnet looks like you've got one of your hands on a Van de Graaff generator, how comes you're looking 10 years younger than last time we spoke?
I couldn't tell you. I mean, eating well. I'm working at a car wash, busting my balls. But
James was working.
I got my first Social Security check the other day.
Hang on, so you're working, but what is that? Is that like an English pension?
Similar, yes. You pay into it your whole life, and at
That's
62
it.
you can take it early. Then you can take it. You can wait till 67 and get more, or wait till 70 and get even more. But why would I wait till 67? I'd be missing out on 55, 60,000. I might not even be alive. I mean, I smoke all the drugs I did. If I hit 70,
Yeah.
I'll be fucking lucky.
James,
So,
my missus said to me the other day, she said, I saw on the internet that English people, well, we needed a new fridge. We did need one. She said, we need a new fridge. I'll give her $200. She wakes me up. I need another 300. I'm like, fucking hell. I said, well, we can get it, but there ain't going to be any money to put food in it. And, and she didn't quite get the joke until today when she said, can I go shopping? I'm like, no, there's no money. But she said, I saw on the internet, because she couldn't believe it. She said, people in England, when they get older, the government give them money. I said, well, that's the idea. I said, but the way things are going, they won't have it by the time I'm old enough. And I honestly think that. I won't be getting a pension. They haven't got any money.
well, now
England's
when
fine.
you call that a pension, here a pension would be something that your job gives you.
Yeah,
You
you
understand?
can have that as well. You can have that
You
as well.
you
But
would
we
get
pay
that,
national
and
insurance.
in other words, you would get that, and you would get Social Security. And some people pay into a 401k, and the
That's
job
it.
matches it, and all that bullshit. So
And
I'm
it's
not
quite
so.
tax efficient 401k, isn't it? It's quite a tax efficient way of saving money.
Yeah, see, I worked under the table most of my life, so I was surprised to get what I got. I get a little under $1,000, which isn't much, but hey, it beats a blank. You know, every
Yeah,
month I'll get.
that's amazing. We'll give you more if you wait until you go into that bracket where there's a 30% more chance of you dying.
Yeah, and you ain't getting 30% more either. Yeah,
I'll tell you what
yeah.
now, there's a great new channel, people. I'll grab it up now. Don't worry, James, I'll come back to you. But I want to show the Brits in my channel this channel that I've found. You should subscribe to it. Let me just pop it over there so you could see it. Hang on, let me just let the advert run. Right, so I found out today, right, so people, this is how I get paid. It's not a loophole. Well, some people, I suppose you could call it a loophole. It's not illegal. Loads of people do it. So I own a company. Well, I don't. It's different now because I don't work for them. But I own the company, but it's a limited company, and limited means limited liability. So if that company borrows £200,000, if some idiot was to lend us 200 grand and the company goes bankrupt, I'm not bankrupt. I don't owe a penny because it's limited liability. That's what that means, right? And what I done was then set up another company, and rather than getting paid a salary, which in England you're charged at 20%, that's the lowest rate. If you earn 55, I think it might be 60 grand, you pay 40% tax. It's just like, hang on, that's half my money. So what you do, you set up another company, and then I don't work for my own company. I work for the other one I set up that invoices the company I own, and I take dividends from the other company, because dividends in the UK are taxed at about 10%, even if you take loads of money, but they're not for everyone. But Starmer on the sly, he's changing it all. Limited companies aren't necessarily the way to go now. He's putting the taxes up on all those nice little ways of, saving a few percent here and there. Starmer's all on the sly. You've got to check out this channel, English people, because it won't help Americans because it's a different system. The channel is called Michelle. I'll tell you what, I'll put the link in the chat. I'll show you it on the screen. I'll put a link in the chat, people. If you're a sole trader, if you're employed, if you've got a limited company, she covers all of it. Most YouTube channels that deal with financials, including investment channels, they're essentially adverts for their courses. And so is hers. Like she talks about, you can see that the start of the video, limited is dead. And she talks about why a lot of the old benefits of having a limited company, Starmer's screwing everyone now. But she'll also talk about being a sole trader, self-employed, and all the different things. She does at the end say, if you want me to help you out organising your funds to be more tax efficient, contact me. So she is doing that, but she does give good information in the videos as well. Listen to a bit. Let's just listen to the start of this video here, and you'll get an idea.
2026.
Oh,
Well,
can you hear
at
that?
least the idea that you should start one as the default tax saving move. As an account,
Sorry, it was a bit quiet.
the limited is dead in 2026. Well, at least the idea that you should start one as the default tax saving move. As an accountant, I see this mistake every week with new directors. And from April 2026, dividend tax is going up. Companies' House has already been tightening up with ID checks, and even the basic cost of running a company are rising. So in this video, I'm going to show you the 5 types of people who should not start a limited in 2026.
Right, that on its own is absurd. It's always been the case that if you set up a business, incorporate as early as you can claim tax back, you can pay yourself in dividends, you can leave a lot of money in the company. If you're only taking dividends and you're not actually living on the money, you don't pay any tax on it. Whereas if you're taking a salary of 70 grand, you're paying middle rate 40% tax or something ridiculous. So, and most people don't know these basic facts. I would suggest half of the people who watch this channel, could probably save about 15 to 20% of the taxes they pay every year, not by doing anything illegal, not by doing anything dodgy, simply by changing the way your money gets to you. Even if you're just an employee of a company, there's ways of doing it, but they don't teach you any of this. The kids who go to your Radleys and your Eton and all that, they're learning about investing when they're like 13, 14. They're learning about all this stuff so that when they leave school, their family old money survives. You know, I watched one of her videos the other day, and she said, borrow, get in debt, and die. And that didn't come as a shock to me, because I'm a member of a forum that's for successful businesses, because I used to own one. I still do, but I don't work there. I know that's a bit complicated. But a lot of people on there, they just say borrow as much money as you can. Just if PayPal are always offering to lend us money, Amazon are always offering to lend us money, the bank are always offering to lend us money. Take it. You want to lend me 40 grand? When COVID come about, they said, "Oh, we'll give you a bounce back loan at something like 1% interest," and we were like, "Yeah, all right." They went, "How much do you want?" We went, 40 grand. They went, "All right." Like, oh, great. But listen, you can look into this, look into it before you just do it. But if you borrow money and just keep building up debt under a limited company and die, that debt doesn't get passed on to your kids or anything. And if you use that money to buy assets, you don't pay tax on them. There's all these things you can do. And there's so many people offering to lend people money at the moment because they know people don't know. This is what rich people do. Rich people don't pay themselves a salary. Oh, I've got a company that, I can pay myself £500,000 a year. No, they buy property. They buy gold. They invest it. And then they're taxed. Someone who's earning millions is probably paying less tax than someone who's working a 9 to 5. It comes down to simple financial ignorance. So I'll put that link in the chat again. Definitely a channel worth checking out. We won't. Hang on, let me see it might even be this one actually, if I can get to this bit. Hang on. Give me a couple of seconds because it will be worth it. I don't really like you all seeing my history because you'll see the real me. It's just football and birds. Hang on, let me find her channel again because it would have been the one I watched after it. Right, there she is. It'll probably be this one. I'll give it a punt.
On booking.com, it's easy to...
Because I've got my VPN on England, I'm getting out of it. Apologies, people. Go on, piss off.
Split your disposals across tax years. Sell one asset before the 5th of April and another after. That doubles your exemption instantly. Just look at something as simple as that. Knowing about tax years. You're allowed to earn 12.5 grand a year before you pay any tax. But if you've got assets that you've bought out of your business, if you sell them both before the end of the tax year, you'll get taxed. You'll get taxed because you've gone over the 12.5 grand limit. But if you sell one of them before the 5th of April and the other one on the 7th of April, you don't pay any tax. And all day long, people are falling for these, Starmer's government, and they're fucking it all up. Look at that. Higher rate of capital gains is 24%. Good Lord. Starmer is absolutely going to screw us. I see on X earlier, Starmer said, we are giving, it's called something like breakfast clubs or something. And he said, we will be giving 300,000 kids free breakfasts. That's what this government is about. So their parents don't have to worry about feeding them and they can go out and work. Now, not only is that
straight out of 1984, but also 300,000. That's about the size of Dartford. That isn't like, what? It's just ridiculous. But the ratios are amazing. The comments replying to it, people have just got down to fuck off. They're not bothering saying anything to him anymore. Just fuck off. Everyone hates you. That's not the video, people, but you'll check it out. She talks about borrowing, getting into debt, using the money to buy assets, and then dying. And then all those companies, all those banks and PayPals and whoever that you borrowed off, they have to just stuff it. They have to just take it. I mean, don't think they haven't worked out how to make money out of your debt. That's what it's all about. That's what banking's about. When you borrow 100 grand from a bank, that bank is now worth 100 grand more, even though they haven't given you any money and you haven't given them any. That's how it works. But if you buy assets, you don't pay any tax on them. And then when you die, don't worry about it. You're dead. Imagine you'd done that and you woke up and you were in heaven and you thought, oh, sweet. And just at the door, there was a geezer from HSBC. And he was like, hang on a minute. Now you got to go down. You got to get on the escalator, mate. But people, I would really advise you to look into it. You do not need like the world's best accountant to tell you how to save, 15, 20 grand a year if you're earning sort of 60, 70 grand a year. Even if you're earning 30, 40 grand a year, you can almost certainly save money by getting a decent accountant, which is going to cost you something like 250 quid a month if you're like a sole trader. But she talks about the UK government. I had to do that the other day. I had to verify who I was. That took about 5 hours and screenshots of my face doing all this lark. And she talks about it. They're using this bit of software now called Connect. And essentially it allows them to work out all your side hustles. The government know full well that most people have got a few little things going on the side, a little bit of cash in hand here, a little part-time job here, a little Etsy or a little bit of eBay here. Well, that software Connect joins all the dots now. So don't be surprised that under Starmer's government, if this year you get a letter through the post going, that 8.5 grand earnings you didn't declare last year that you now owe 40% interest on. Go on, change the subject to something wonderful.
Well, you got me thinking about, like, I was arguing with liberals the other day, and they're talking about how Trump has 6 bankruptcies, like that's the end of the world. So I tried to explain it to this one liberal. I said, a baseball player, every time he goes to bat, he doesn't get a hit, right? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, but if he gets so many hits, his average makes him a good player, right? But it's not like he fails every time. It's the same thing with business. Like Trump's got over like 300 successful businesses, and he failed 6 times. Like, what kind of baseball player would he be? You know what I mean? They just don't get it.
But you can actually make a bankruptcy work in your favour intentionally from the outset. You can actually think, well, hang on, if we do this, we've got limited liability, we'll borrow that money, we'll become bankrupt, but we've then got that asset. And
it's protection from creditors. And most people wouldn't start businesses if it wasn't for bankruptcy. It offers a business is a risk. You're taking a risk.
Yeah. I've heard that Trump has been bankrupt 5 or 6 times. I'm like, congratulations. He got loads of money and he got it written off legally. What has he done wrong?
Remember when they accused him of not paying hardly any tax? He's like, that makes me smart.
Yeah. And he said to her, didn't he? He said the only reason you haven't changed the laws is because all your mates do it as well.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
it was almost shocking to hear
Right.
a presidential candidate say the truth. It was like,
Right.
what? Yeah, it's a weird
And
old thing, man.
I was listening to this lawyer on YouTube. You ought to check him out. Andrew Branca,
Oh, that was.
Branca. Branca, Andrew Branca. And today he
Hang
was
on,
talking about.
slow down. Let's find him. Andrew BRA. I found it.
And
The Andrew Branca Show.
he's
So, what
pretty
is
good. He
he a
does a lot of.
banker or a solicitor?
He's talking about not paying taxes.
Okay, what if, like legally?
Well, what he's saying is because Trump's talking about doing away with income tax. He's like, well, like we see where all the fucking money's going. They're fucking stealing it.
Yeah.
Phony daycares, transportation businesses, all kind of shit.
He looks like an interesting bloke, actually, James. He's got a video here. UN collapse imminent. Board of Peace wins. I mean, I know it's clickbait, but
He's pretty good. He does a lot of shorts too, clips from his show that are pretty good.
he's got one here. Don Lemon has been indicted under the KKK Act.
Indicted. But
Indicted,
yeah.
sorry, yeah. But that was because he went into that church, didn't he, with those protesters?
Yeah, and he explains in that video how with a conspiracy, right? If you sit around a table with 5 guys and plan to rob this bank, and only 2 guys actually go in the bank, guess what? You're all guilty of bank robbery. That's conspiracy. Right. And he was explaining how Don Lemon is guilty, even though he didn't jump around and shout and threaten or try to intimidate. He's still guilty because he knew what they were doing. You know?
Yeah. In England, we've got a really weird law called conspiracy. And if you've bought, like, let's say you bought half a kilo of cocaine every month for 6 months,
right?
And they've watched you. They haven't got any drugs. They haven't caught you in the act, but they can actually put you away for conspiracy.
Really?
You've conspired with people. And they say, and it's not for the past, it's for, no, because we've seen a pattern, we know that you're conspiring to supply Class A's or whatever in the future. And I had a mate and they tried to get him for conspiracy, but there was no one else involved. And his lawyer stood up in court and said, not his lawyer, but his defense attorney or whatever, and he said, this conspiracy charge, who is he conspiring with? And the judge just went, yeah, case dismissed. There was no one else involved.
Yeah, I don't know that they can do that here. I don't know that they do that here. They got to actually get you doing something.
I mean, the whole tax system's just comical. Look how it works. Right, you get paid your wages, which get taxed, income tax. If you're a business, you're also going to pay corporation tax on that. If you save any of that money, you're going to get taxed on your savings. If you buy anything,
you get taxed again.
But if you buy anything like a house or something and you rent that out to people, you're going to get taxed on the money you raise from them. And then when you spend the money, England, Jimmy, has got 20, I think it's 22, is it 20 or 25? I can't remember. I think it's 20. 20% value added tax.
Well, the government is the biggest lifter of all. Let's face it.
You know what? Hang on, I'm going to ask ChatGPT something right now. Give me a couple of seconds because this could be quite interesting. I'll do it on my phone on voice. I've got to get a question right. Hello, Mush. Right, we're in the UK. This is a hypothetical. You earn 25 grand a year. Now,
all right, Mush. If you're in the UK,
whoa, stop. Right. We'll start again. You're in the UK. You earn £100,000 a year. Now, for fuck's sake, keeps talking.
Yes, be
Can't be arsed
quicker.
with it. I can't do it. I can't be doing with it.
Can't
But
pause.
I'll do it. I'll make a video. I'll make a short about it. But I wonder out of 100 grand, how much you actually get after all those taxes and the VAT when you spend. I wouldn't be surprised if it's something like 30 grand. I would not be surprised at all.
Well, you got free college. I love how they call it free. You got your university's paid for, your medical's paid for. That's a lot of fucking money.
Well, that's that. In the UK, the NHS is the biggest slice of the economy, I think.
Now, let me ask you something. In the UK, do most younger people go for education, or do a lot of them also start businesses like tradespeople, stuff like that?
Back in the day, only intelligent, like natural selection, went to university. You had to have shown yourself to be above the lumpen proletariat. In my town, in my school, about 6 people went to higher education. After Tony Blair got in, and he's a bloke who really started the mass uncontrolled immigration. It was going on before, but it was him who really opened the floodgates. I mean, some people might disagree with that, but I doubt it. He turned students into clients. That's when you started getting your student loans. Like when I went to university, we didn't get a student loan. You got a grant. They just give you the money. And it was fucking great. This idea that students were broke was ridiculous. I had so much money. I mean, I was selling drugs as well. But and then the first year,
the student loans here made the colleges go crazy with how much they charge.
Yeah, and people. I heard that the funniest thing is the affirmative action where they let loads of stupid people in. They don't pass the courses. You can lower the entrance exam, but you can't lower the exit exam, because if you're going to go and work in a nuclear facility, you've got to know what you're doing. So they come out of their Yale degree in, like, I don't know, nuclear fission or something, and they just don't get jobs. But they do owe the government $90,000.
Right.
It's such a stitch up, man. Such a stitch.
My kid went to Harvard for free. That's like $500,000.
How's that going? You have no contact there at all, do you?
No. Probably never will. She's been compromised by a liberal lunatic.
Tell me if you don't want to go there, but it always interests me because I don't have regrets, but I would have. I think if I had my time again, no, I wouldn't. I think I've played it about right, actually. I'll have kids in a couple of years when we've got the house in the country.
Do it when you have money.
Pardon?
Do it when you have money.
Well, that's it, exactly. We own the land, we'll own the house, we'll be able to live off the land. There's no dramas. The missus is 25, she's very traditional, so I won't be wiping
I didn't have mine until I was 38 and she was 39. Now, we both worked. My kid never wanted for anything. She had the best clothes, vacations. I mean, the kid, the kid didn't want for nothing. So.
But do you never, because what you told me before was mother has essentially given her the woke mind virus, and
somewhat, yes.
And you think it's written off? There'll never be a relationship between you and your daughter?
No, I honestly don't, because she's okay. So the mother has convinced the child that I don't want anything to do with her, and I've written my child. I'm like, you don't understand. It's the reverse. I didn't want anything to do with your mother. Plus, I was doing drugs. So you know what I mean. And I lost my car. I didn't have a car anymore. I didn't see her for like a year. I'm like, but where were you giving me a phone call on my birthday or Merry Christmas? I mean, never heard nothing from you. So, you know what I mean? It swings both ways. I mean, But the kid's convinced that I want nothing to do with her, and that's simply not true. I mean, but I gave up reaching out to them.
Yeah, it's a real sad trap when you'd like to think that the parent, just for the good of the child,
Right.
would think, I'm going to put aside mine, me and the father or me and the mother's problems, and try and somehow have some kind of relationship, because a father and a mother are important. But to
I sent this kid an email, and I said, look, I said, if it wasn't for you, I would have got away from this crazy bitch a long fucking time ago. I had to put up with all this shit because of you, and now I have no joy over even having you. It's almost like it wasn't worth it. My money, my emotional fucking whatever, all for nothing because you believe a bunch of nonsense. Like,
so you stayed in that relationship for the kid?
Yeah.
That's hard work, man. I mean, fair play, but yeah.
Well, I mean, the mother's drinking the fifth a day. She falsely accuses me of a bunch of charges. No one will listen to me. Nobody will listen, right? Because I'm the bad guy, even though I beat the case. And, so I figured I had to physically be there to protect her. I mean, wow. I did. But, hey, I did what I had to do as a father. She graduated from the pinnacle of schools. She'll never need anybody for money. She's a neuroscientist. And she's going for a post-baccalaureate at NIH in Baltimore. So, she's going to start making six figures. I mean, so. Of course, she's gay. Thanks, Harvard. Thanks, Harvard.
Of course she's gay. Yeah, amazing.
Yeah. She went to Harvard and came out gay. Thanks, Harvard.
She won't be after a couple of years in the real world. John Palmer bought a future, and he says, thanks for making me laugh today. John, I tried to put it on the screen, but as you saw, we got the echo into infinity. Let me try that again. It's only fair. There we go. John Palmer, thanks for making me laugh so hard today. It's an absolute pleasure. To be honest with you, John, I didn't think I had the energy for it. That's why I put the zombie photo on the thumbnail, but it seems to have worked out quite nice. While I'm on it, give me a second, James. I'll get back to you. I just want to see if I've missed any super chats that have come in. I have as well. School New York City. Looks like a dapper chap. Dropped a $10 super sticker in. Hoyt to that. School New York City. Are you new in these parts? I don't recognise the name. Apologies if you're not, or maybe you've been a lurker. But if you are new, introduce yourself. This community, we pretty much know everyone. Or you don't have to do that if you don't want to. But thanks for the support. Much appreciated. I'm trying to make a living as a writer stroke YouTuber. You can get this on Amazon in America, by the way. I tell you what, James, there's a couple of Thank you, School New York City. That is appreciated. And thank you, John Palmer, for the buy me a coffee. There is, James, have you read A Million Little Pieces? James Frey.
What's that now? Say that again?
Sorry, I think it was a combination of my accent, my vocal cords dying, and you being deaf as a post. Have you read A Million Little Pieces by James Frey? It was very famous. Right, it's a book about recovery, rehab, and all that. Oprah had him on a book show, a book club. And when you get on over, this is going back about 15 years. It's a cracking book. You'll likely enjoy it, actually.
Well, let me tell you this: recovery now is completely ridiculous.
I know what you're going to say.
It's from the rehab. They're taking in prisoners. They don't have enough staff. You just sit around all day. They're catching people with drugs. They're selling drugs in the rehabs. Then you get out of fucking, and then you got them there diagnosing them. Oh, you're ADD. They're coming out with, oh, it's
all
fucking
the
horrible.
Nonsense has gone in there. Yeah, apparently NA in London has been totally overtaken by the LGBTQ plus QAI lot. You know, you get marched out if you dare say anything that offends someone. And
Right.
you're like me, you're an old timer. I was going to NA 30 years ago. You know,
Right.
my sponsor has said he's been to meetings in America where you had to leave your gun at the door. You know, there'd be a bloke with a box and they'd take the shooters off you. And like what it is now, it weren't what it used to be. And James, I went to one of those luxury rehabs in Thailand. $30,000 it was for 5 weeks. I done
Right.
one night there, woke up in Chiang Mai intensive care unit.
Yeah, I remember that
one
story.
night there. Yeah, they gave me 2 tramadol. 2 tramadol. I was doing 2 grams of heroin a day. I said, what's this for? I done one night at that rehab, and when I said to him, "Are you going to refund me?" He went, "Well, it's not a hotel." I said, "Yeah, but I only done one night there. I woke up in hospital. None of you were there. Where were you?" None of them come to the hospital, and
Right.
they charged me 14 grand for that one night. 14 grand for one night.
Yeah, it's all a big scam.
And that place had an LGBTQ wing. So you know what special relationships, you know, the old SRs, don't fuck anyone in treatment. That's totally against the rules.
Right.
Well, what they done in that place is put them all on the same fucking landing. I mean, what do you think's going to
Well,
happen?
let me say this before I forget. So I go into this rehab, right? And you're supposed to be strip searched. And there was no men available. So the one woman pulls me aside and she says, "Look, I see all the Trump stuff. I'm conservative too. Nobody knows." She's like, "But," she said, "I'm telling you right now, they're not going to let you have this stuff." And she's like, "Don't talk conservative." She said, "The entire staff is woke liberal." And
wait. I thought you were talking about substances. You're talking about clothes. Like
No. Okay, so when you come into a rehab, you carry a bag, right? They got to search your bag.
Yeah.
She's seeing MAGA stuff, and she pulls me aside because she's about to go get another girl to strip search me. Right? There's no men, right?
Hang on, but what do you mean? Things like T-shirts and hats and that? I don't.
Yeah.
Right. Unbelievable.
So she's warning me. She said, "Look, the entire staff is puke liberal, woke liberal. Watch what you say because they might even kick you out over it." She's like, "Nobody knows that I'm conservative, and please don't tell anybody." She said, I'm telling you right now, the whole thing is fucked." And she was right. I mean, it's just a big grift. I mean, what is rehab but talk therapy? That's all it really fucking is. I didn't talk my way into addiction. You know, I acted my way in. Therefore, you got to act your way out, right? I mean, it's just it just, you know. But it was just such a, like back in the day, the heroin addicts, you took methadone for about a week, I think. And that was it. But now they got them on subs for forever, 5 years, some of them, and they develop a meth addiction, right? So they take the subs. It's so fucked up, man. And then the heroin addicts got all these little scams, right? Like you take this gabapentin stuff, right? So if you take 6 or 7 of them, you're licking your boots for about 7 hours, right? But it's my medication, you know. It's a fucking joke, man. The heroin addicts are some of the fucking slickest motherfuckers you ever fucking seen. I'm telling you, they're gonna find a way to pull the wool over somebody's eyes.
They've had to learn, haven't they? That luxury rehab, there was no other smackheads in there. There was no other junkies in there. That was a red flag. No, I tell you what it was. That it was not mostly, all of them except me, the children of rich people who want 6 weeks off their kids who are drinking a bit much at the weekend. That's what it felt like. You know, when I started telling them my stories, they were sort of like, "Oh, I don't know about."
Who's this crazy motherfucker?
Yeah, and like their ones were things like, well, the first group therapy, I didn't know anyone's names or anything, but they asked me, they said, you can go if you want. I thought it'd be better than sitting in a room. I've gone in there, and usual capers. She went, anyone got anything to share? And this girl said, well, so and so read his letter out yesterday that he got from his wife, and she said, I don't feel safe around him anymore. And they all started talking about it. And I said, hang on a minute. I said, just so that I know what's going on, can you just give me the gist of the letter? And he looked all sort of sad. And he went, well, when I was drinking, he said, when my wife come home, she was an hour late and we were meant to be going out and I called her a bitch. And I went, right. And then he went, yeah. I went, so what happened? What? And he went, well, that's it. And I went, hang on a minute. You called your wife a bitch and you don't feel safe around him. And she went, I just, it's just, we were getting to know each other, but now I've seen the real him. And I just thought, I was only there for a detox, Jim. I thought, keep my head down. I know all that. I've been through enough rehabs to know all that bullshit. First fucking session, I just thought, I just can't put up with this nonsense. Luckily,
Yeah, they don't even
I
have
ended
real
up with-
problem.
No,
They don't even have real problem.
Wife a bitch. I'd think you'd probably go to some kind of treatment centre if you were married to someone for 30 years and didn't call them a bitch. But she was like, I don't feel safe around him. I thought, fuck off. Yes, you do. You just want someone to listen to you. If it wasn't that, it would be something else. Oh, yesterday the food, they said it was vegan, but I could smell fish somewhere. Yeah. It's shocking, isn't it? Jimmy, let me ask you something that you might know. Like, I do love NA. I'll be honest with you. 80% of it, I don't give a shit about. But the friends I've made there over the years, what it's done for me, things like the 10th step, the 9th step, admitting when you're wrong, promptly, taking a personal inventory, things like that have changed my life. But where does all that money go? In a Soho meeting, like the one I used to be the secretary of, that hat would have like £1,000 in it. People are, because it's Soho, tend to be quite well off. They're putting 20s, 10s in it, 50s. Where does all that go?
Well, in other words, they have a treasurer, right? And they're supposed to give a report of it every month, how much money, and so I've seen AA clubhouses have 30,000 in the bank. And at some point they vote to like give most of it to AA, maybe, or something like that. But I've also seen, and more so in NA, the secretary robs it. They run off with it.
Yeah,
and then they don't case them up, right? They don't have them arrested, but they make a legal agreement, right? And they never pay it back. Never. They
you're
just
meant
don't.
to. I think in London or in England, NA, I think you're meant to have 5 years before you can be a treasurer.
Yeah, there's usually a time requirement.
Yeah, but because people don't really, the service people want is meter and greeter, tea maker, the secretary, because you get all the attention. When they go, oh, we've got a GSR, that one, where you have to go to the general
service representative. Yeah,
the really boring
back to the group what happened, and it's usually boring. Arguments and shit.
But someone said once, where does all this money go? And like, does it? I'm starting to think, is it what's that big company? Is it Castle Dean or something like that? American organization, begins with a C, I think. It's there's a lot of literature that have got their name on the back. No, you will know it. You will know it.
Can't remember.
Hang on. I'm sure you'll have heard of it. I'm just seeing what one it is. Like all that money from like people buying basic texts and the big book and the green and gold. Do you have the green and gold in America?
Green gold. Oh, you mean green gold? You mean the college course? the step writing, the step working guides.
That's it. That's it. They call it the green and gold in England because
Yeah,
obviously
I call it a college course. Over 50 questions for the first step.
It's nuts, isn't it? I mean, I've done my first.
I can knock it out in 5 minutes with somebody. 5 minutes, but then I'll spend a year on it. You know. Yeah, you know what it really is. It's so simple that people have to make it more complicated. They can't just grasp very simple. They don't understand that the concepts are so simple. It's for sick people. Like you don't have to stay stuck on the step. You really don't. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, sponsors will keep them on. You know, so one woman's telling me the first 3 steps for 3 years. I'm like, what? You couldn't make a decision and move on? Like, and then they would get mad at me. Yeah. And I would just mock them. And now, and hey, right, when they tell their story, it's like bad form to talk about drugs now. You understand?
Yeah, I wrote that one. They don't want war stories. Yeah.
It's like, right. And here's the thing.
Wait. Because there'll be people watching who won't have a clue what we're talking about. I just want to put a bit of context around this. So NA is free. Dawn Browning donated 3 futures. I'll put that on the screen in a minute, Dawn. Thank you very much. The geezer that asked about the cloth for the whistle, I will get back to that in a minute as well. Let me just get that back here.
Somebody wanted your experience on what kind of suit to buy.
Yeah, no, that's it. I've got that one there. So I will deal with that. And Dawn, I'll put your one on the screen. Thank you very much. Love Hoyt to that. Right, so NA is free. You can just go to a meeting. The only requirement for membership is to want to stop. But some meetings are open, so you don't even need to have an habit. You can just go there and see what happens. Right. What happens is they usually do newcomers time, usually at the beginning, sometime at the end. But when you're a street junkie or you've just come out of prison or, you know, you've for the last 20 years, you've known nothing but wheeling and dealing, robbing people and taking drugs. When you decide to get clean, what you'll have there's different meetings. There's like step meetings where they talk about the steps. There's like tradition meetings that no one goes to because no one cares about the traditions. But the meetings most people go to and it's certainly in England, the ones that there's more of are sharing meetings where they get someone who's got like 8 or 9, a lot of long time clean. And and they'll sit there, speaker meeting, that's it. They'll sit there at the beginning and they'll say, my name's John and I'm an addict. And everyone goes, hello, John. And it's a bit creepy, but you get used to it. You put it to one side.
Right.
And then they'll tell their story. And when you're first there and you're a shivering wreck because you're rattling your tits off and you're scared to talk, you know, the day before you were having a fight with 7 blokes, but take the drugs away, you're sitting in a room full of really, usually pretty nice, decent people. You're like, oh, fucking hell, why are they all being so honest about things? I can't hack it. But what you want to hear is that they were like you. You want to hear the geezer say...
You want them to paint the picture. You want them to paint that picture, yes. It's called identification. And they've lost it. It's a lost art.
Hang on. That's what I will let you get to that bit. But so when you hear that bloke sitting up in the front with a nice whistle on, looking good, he tells you he's got a good job, he's got a couple of kids, they go to fucking Miami for their holidays, and he says, it was only 8 years ago I was waking up and putting speedballs in my groin. I'd done a 6 stretch for importing crack. And you're like, fucking hell. And you start understanding that you can change. And then he starts telling you, he says, you know, I relapsed 15, 20 times before I actually got it. And then I started putting the work in. I started going to meet. I was doing this. And you, there's an element of trust, like Jimmy said, because you can identify with it. But what James is about to tell you is what I started seeing in the UK. They'd start a speakers meeting, and the secretary, who's kind of like the MC, I suppose you'd call it, would say before the speakers even started, we don't do war stories in this meeting. This is we talk recovery. And you'd often see the speaker who travelled halfway across the country on his own purse, sort of
Now
go,
he's been censored. Yeah.
yeah, he's fucked now because he's going to be like, well, I got
He's going to change
clean.
his story.
Yeah, and
Well-
that, I've literally met people who've just walked out of prison, walked them to a meeting, said, listen, they're gonna say a prayer at the end. That's not even in any of the NA literature, the Serenity Prayer. They all hold hands, and it's like Kumbaya, my Lord. I mean, that I don't know where that come from. That ain't in the literature. And I say to him, but just ignore all that shit. I said, and I know, and I'm like, this is a Trafalgar Square speakers meeting. The geezer gets 40 minutes, and they're usually tip top. I said, just open your ears and try and listen. And I thought, he needs to know that these people were like him. And the geezer said, we don't do war stories here. And then he introduced a bloke, and he was just talking about his job in the music industry. And this poor bloke, he left. He said, I'm just going to the toilet. And I thought, yeah, the toilet on fucking Charing Cross Station.
Well,
See you next
I
month.
know where that comes from. I know why that started. There's a pamphlet in NA called The Speaker, right? And one of the passages in it says, we don't find it necessary to dwell excessively on our war stories or addiction. We all know what it was like to use, right? It doesn't say don't tell war stories, but so what the chairperson, or you call him secretary, would read that, right? And that person would take that as not to tell a war story. And that's not what it says. It says we don't find it necessary to dwell excessively on our war stories or addiction. It doesn't say not to tell. So in other words, some clown with a 30-year heroin addiction says, we don't know, I used heroin for 30 years. We all knew what it was like to use. And then they start talking about their life. And I raised my hand. I said, what'd you do? Smoke a joint? Stubble in here? Like, and they would get mad at me. Because I was nuts. I'm like, no, you're not like me. You're not like me at all. Because apparently it wasn't that bad. You're not even talking about it. I read your black book. None of you even speak like that anymore. Oh, they were furious with me. I mean, it was as soon as I came. Oh, here he comes. I was trouble. They were telling me. Yeah, I was trouble. So I went to AA. I went to an AA clubhouse, and they talked about drugs. Like you, most of them probably should have been in NA, but they didn't like NA for that reason, and they didn't like NA for the hugging. Like, listen, I don't want to fucking hug you if I don't know you. You know what I mean? I don't care if you're Marilyn Monroe. That shit's uncomfortable. All that California cowabunga bullshit. Like, shut the fuck up.
That meter and greeter, and it's always some homeless bloke who gets that service. And you walk up to the meeting, and there he is. You can see the flies hovering around him. You're thinking, oh, he's going to launch at me, and all that sweat. And you're like, you're all right, son. Yeah, nah. But in AA in the UK, they'll have a break halfway through the meeting, and they'll all go outside. They're smoking joints. They're giving each other benzos, the lot. Like, it's like, hang on a minute.
Yeah, well, see, now it's almost because of this push by the pharmaceutical companies, right? It's MAT, they call it, medically assisted treatment. Because of that, now it's quite acceptable to take Xanax if you're worried, or, and basically what happens is they start abusing it. I mean, but then it's like if I talk about medication, I'll say, please continue to take your medication. I'll preface it with that, because if I start talking about this shit, they'll invariably take it inward and say and resent me for saying I don't like this shit. I said, look, I came into recovery to not do drugs, and I don't want to be around people that do drugs either. But you're all fucking doing drugs. And they would laugh. But I'm fucking serious. Like, you're all fucking doing, most of you are on some kind of fucking drug here. Well, you're not a doctor. Yeah, I'm not an asshole either, but what the fuck? I mean, and they act like it too. Super selfish. Fucking,
Listen, people, you can go online and you can find out where and when the nearest NA meeting is. I would suggest NA. It's probably different in America, but AA in the UK is a lot of old men who do a lot of reading that you can't hear, and it's very dull. But go to an AA meeting, make sure it's open. Don't go to cause problems. Just go and check it out, because they can be wild. Sometimes when you get a good speaker, it's like it's the best comedy set you ever heard. You're just like, whoa. Yeah. So maybe check them out. James, I'm going to let you go some, because I've been here 2.5. Always a pleasure to talk to you. Looking well. You're looking well, man.
Thank you. Yeah, even with the hair, huh?
I think it actually had something, just that sort of Einstein sort of.
I look crazy.
Yeah. Oh, you're looking good. You're looking really good. Looking really well. It was quite hard. It was funny, but it was hard work watching you on the old whippets.
Yeah. I must have did 2,000 of them in like 60 days. I think. And even now, like in the grocery store, I popped a little whippet, right? The whipped cream, and it's still only about 50%. So I still have a high tolerance after 3 or 4 years.
I remember you were going off screen, and you'd hear, and then you'd come back on. You'd look really disappointed. Go off screen, come back on. Look really. Do that about 6 times, and you'd be like, "That don't fucking work anymore." The tolerance for that stuff is like that, isn't it? A couple of weeks, and that's it.
Yeah, they were saying that my subscribers were calling it Jimmy's tire service. He's blowing up another tire.
They're selling it now flavored. You can get like blackcurrant and lemon flavor.
I know. I saw that. You can buy them right on Amazon. We used to steal them from the hospitals. That's the medical grade. They used to house them in these concrete structures outside in the parking lot, but there was no locks or anything. There's people that, like, we would go in there and fucking steal them. I was skinny. I would shimmy up over the cinder blocks, throw the fucking tank out, and pass the tanker.
I found out in England that if you were scared of the dentist, you could get intravenous diazepam. And I've gone round there because I had to have some root treatment, root canal. And I said to her, oi. I knew her quite well, this bird. And I said, apparently I can have IV diazepam, because I'm not good with the dentist and that. She said, well, yeah, but you should have organised it before, because by law, I can't give you that unless you've got someone with you. I said, why not? She said, because if I inject you with 5 milligrams of diazepam and then let you walk out into the streets of Soho, that could be dangerous. I went, love, I had 30 before I left the house. She just went, sit down. I just slept through it. James, lovely to see you. Look after yourself. Show Jimmy some love in the chat, people. Take care, you.
See you later,
Right, James. He's great value, Jimmy, isn't he? Right, I want to do these, and then we'll get on to the whistle. Hang on. Let's get over here. All right. I don't even know how to do it anymore. I forget. I'm getting old, man. I might start saying I'm getting young and just see if it works. Oi, Packer, guess what?
What?
I'm getting young.
What? Yeah.
Here we
Me
go,
too.
look. Dawn Browning, bless her. She dropped 3 futures and she hoita. Nice one, DB, on the firm. Lovely. And thank you, James, and thank you, John Palmer. Dotty was from last week. But look, people, the videos are back. Look at me and old Jed. Jed got 2, look. But the videos are back. If you donate over there, these 3 people will get a 30-second video It's not like a standard video. I'll record it and try and make you laugh or something. Right, hang on. I've got something over here. Albert's on the firm. Albatross dropped a Lady Godiva. He said, hello, Jimmy. Great to see you doing well. I miss your old streams. Did you get yeeted? James, I should have put that. I didn't know that was the question while you were here. If I remember rightly, yes, he did get yeeted. But
Yeah.
he's not on the whippets. Yeah, he's straight. I think once they saw
He's
him
up and
holding a
running again now.
baseball bat, he's back up, is it, Packer?
He's got a stream, yeah.
Well, Albert, maybe see what James has got to say in the chat if he hasn't done the off. And he might be able to, well, he knows more about his situation than I do. But thank you, Albert, for the support. Always a price, Tutti. Right, this suit. My boy Tom says, Chris, I'm going to buy your book as a birthday treat. How can I get you to sign it for me, lad? What you can do is wait. Here's why. If you really wanted me to sign it like pronto, you would have to send it out to Cambodia, FedEx. There's no normal post service out here. That's going to cost you 30 quid or something. And then I'd have to sign it and cost 30 quid to send it back. What I would suggest is buy it, and then when I come to England, because you'll be able to get it in Waterstones and indie bookshops and libraries and all that lark, I'm going to do a little promotional tour. So I'll probably be looking at London, Edinburgh, Manchester, something like that, a few different bookshops. That's the plan anyway. I'll definitely at least do one big one in London. So if you can get there, I mean, you're UK, aren't you? Bring the book and I'll sign it for you. Write a little message. I'll do a little penis print on it if you want. But yeah, get it. It's great. It's going well. Read some of the reviews. I don't know where penis print come from. Right, this whistle question. Where's that?
I wouldn't want to go. I want to say.
What, did you say something then, Packer? You're muted at the moment.
My missus butting in.
I quite like the idea of your missus butting in. Right.
Yeah, I do as well. That's why I married her.
Yeah, fair play. Good call. Anorak Built for Two said, Chris, could you spare a second? I can spare more than that, although I'm going to have to wrap this up soon. I can barely talk, as you can hear. Could you spare a second to give me some advice about a suit, type of material, that sort of thing? I'm getting a grey one. Cheers. Right. So the first thing you need to ask yourself is, what's it for? A grey suit, I'd get a darker grey suit for a start. Light grey suits, there's just something a lighter grey suit isn't as multi-purpose as a darker grey, almost like a charcoal grey. That would be my suggestion. I would also suggest having a little bit of balls and maybe getting a chalk stripe or at least a pinstripe. A chalk stripe is like a pinstripe but slightly wider, a little bit like your old Al Capone's. But you don't have to get it like bright white on charcoal grey. You can get it quite subtle, but it just gives it a little bit more than a plain old funeral suit, essentially. So that's the first advice I'd give you. I'm assuming you're UK. If this is your one and only suit, I would advise you to go to Holland and Sherry. Holland and Sherry make the finest cloth in the world. All my whistles are made out of Holland and Sherry cloth. Now, you will pay through the nose for it, but you're not going to go to a broker. The biggest mistake people make when they get a suit made, you've got three options. You've got off the peg, which is where you just go to a shop and buy a suit that sort of fits you. You've got made to measure, which people think is bespoke, but it's not. What made to measure is they'll get someone to come and do all the proper measurements and it all looks good, and they'll hire a nice room. Even on Savile Row, they're brokers, they're not tailors. There's a couple of tailors still left on Savile Row, but most of them are brokers. You go in there, they'll measure you up. Now, let's say you've got a measurement across the shoulders, which is 18 inches. You then go into a window which is like 16 to 19 inches, and that will be. Do you know what I mean? It's not. It won't fit you exactly. Most people have got one shoulder higher than the other, or if it isn't biologically higher than the other, look at mine. I tend to hold this one higher. A decent tailor will accommodate that. Because if you hold one shoulder higher than the other most of the time, and you get a suit that's perfectly cut, it's going to feel like it's pulling all the time. And you're going to be like, whereas if it's bespoke, which is where it's made exactly to your specifications, if they measure that length, it gets cut to that length. And that's what you want. It's worth paying the extra money for the cloth, for the cut, for everything, because a decent suit looked after will last you 30, 40 years. A decent suit made from decent cloth like Holland and Sherry, you only need to dry clean it once a year, if that. That's what underwear's for. That's why you wear a vest and a shirt and pants and things like that. And a proper bespoke suit, especially in a country like England, the trousers will be lined down to just above the knees. So, and anyway, you can find Holland and Sherry on the internet, and you can actually go down to their warehouse in central London, and you can feel the cloth. Now, for a 3-piece suit, you're going to need about 6 yards. 6 yards of Holland and Sherry cloth is going to cost you about 600. Well, that's what it was when I was getting them made, like 10, 15 years ago. But this is an investment for life. When you get it made, you also want to tell the tailor that, depending on your age, you want to make sure that they can widen those trousers. So when it's cut, there's plenty inside so they can open it. Because as you get fatter, you don't want your $2,000 suit to not fit you anymore. Also get 2 pairs of trousers made, because trousers wear quicker than jackets. And if you only get 1 pair of trousers made, when they wear or something happens to them, they tend to get torn more and stupid things in boozers and that, and you'll take the jacket off and hang it up, things like that. If you then go and get a new pair of trousers made, because the jacket cloth has been exposed to sunlight and all sorts of things, then they don't quite match anymore. So there's little things like this to think about. But a good tailor will know all this. They won't try and rob you. They'll help you with it. If you go to a broker, so for instance, if you go down Savile Row and walk into someone that looks like a tailor, and they've got tailors' dummies around with suits half made with the old floating canvas and all that lark, they might be a broker, and all they'll do, they'll have a professional tailor to measure you. They'll take all your measurements. They'll then take that to a Chinaman or Vietnamese bloke down on Clifford Street, which is just off Savile Row, or somewhere on Berwick Street or Brewer Street, and they'll make a 3-piece suit for about 800 quid. And that broker will come back to you and he'll charge you $2,000. And he's making an absolute fortune just because he's got the nice building on Savile Row. So what I would suggest you, I used to get my trousers made by one person, my waistcoat made by someone else, and my jacket made by someone else, because they were all specialists. The waistcoat woman only made waistcoats, and she was fucking brilliant at it. You want to make sure you get horn buttons, not plastic buttons. Get horn buttons. Again, you're going to pay more. When a plastic button breaks, and they do, and they'll break, changing the temperature, they'll break. They'll snap on a table if you fall over. I think I'm making this more complicated than I need to, but send me an email, chris@chrisdangerfield.com, and just say the bloke who asked about the suit, and I'll give you a more sensible, less kind of I'm knackered. I've just given you so much information. The one thing I would say, though, is don't cut corners, because when you put that suit on, you want to feel the nuts. And as soon as you put a decent bespoke suit on, you feel different and you get treated different. Everyone treats you differently. And the difference between a fully bespoke suit and a off the rack or a made to measure is, it's just, it just fits like a glove. You're like, whoa, hang on, I've never known trousers to feel so good. Get a nice couple of pairs of braces, get it all nicely, color coordinated. There you go. But definitely do it. Every man should have at least one good suit. But my main advice is don't save it for best. It's the saddest thing I've ever seen. I've had mates who've spent 3, 4, 5 grand on 3-piece suits. And we go out drinking. I've got a 3 grand suit on. This is back in the day. It's too hot out here to wear 3-piece suits, unfortunately. And I'm like, why haven't you got your suit on? They're like, well, it's too fucking expensive to wear to a boozer. I'm like, what's it for? Funerals and weddings? You spent 4 grand on a suit you're going to wear like 9 times. Oh, sorry, 10 if we include your own funeral. Actually wear it. Have the balls to go out and wear a suit. People will comment as well. And I used to I'd have a nice cravat on. I'd have a collar with 3 buttons on it, deliberately poncy, a bit dandy. I had a burgundy. Harry's got this suit now. Remember Barclay's mate Harry? Burgundy with a white chalk stripe. Proper, what's his name, Packer, the old 1940s gangster. I already mentioned him. America, bootlegger, you're muted. Prohibition.
Al Capone.
Yeah, the Al Capone look, the white chalk stripe on a claret kind of red. And people would sort of go, oh, fucking hell, look who's turned up here. And I'd go, yeah, I'm an Englishman. Because 3-piece suits are English. The Italians have done a very good job of making wearing a suit daily an Italian thing, but it's not. It's English. So make sure you wear it. Don't think, oh, it cost me a load of money. No, wear it. Once, I've told this story plenty of times, once I put on an handmade shirt, put that on. I put on my alpaca belly fur socks. I put on my handmade shoes. I put on a 4 grand suit, cufflinks, all bit. Left my Soho flat, walked downstairs, went into the brothel, got my service, walked out, walked back upstairs, took it off and went to bed. And I thought, why not? So that's my real advice. Spend the money and it will last, but don't keep it for best. Wear it for life. But send me an email and I'll make all that a little bit more sensible. But definitely do it. Once you put a bespoke suit on, you'll be like, oh, this is more like it, man. And you ask any bird, you ask any woman, apart from a leftist, obviously, what they think is attractive clothes-wise for a man out for an evening. 99 out of 100 times, it's a nice suit. And I was a bitch magnet in those whistles, man. Kunstler Kenneth Craig, Dangerfield Chris, I bought and read your book. Best book I read in a long while. What that? Love in the time of nudie mags. Thank you very much. That's lovely. That's what it's all about for me. Yeah, hang on, Packer. Yeah. Thank you for giving it a go. You had very little reason to give that a go. That's great, man. Packer said it's the best book he's read in 25 years. Didn't you, Packer? We'll stop that story there.
It's very true.
Nice one, Kunstler Kenneth Craig. That's amazing. Tell all your friends. If you could leave a review, that would be amazing if you haven't already, because that's Amazon gold. Just look at the other reviews. This is a coming of age classic, but you've already done enough. And thank you for letting me know, because that's what it's all about. Right, what else have we got here? Have we got any more donations before I skip the boat? Anyone got Packer? What music would you like for the outro?
I think we should go Mandom.
All right, we can do that. While I'm sorting that out, let me close that. Let me close that. Packer, I'll let you go. We'll have a little debrief. See you later.
Okay.
See you in a bit.
Cheers,
Ta-ra,
Scrubs.
mate. People, show Packer some love in the chat, can you? Just say Packer or something. Let him know he's loved and admired, worshipped and enjoyed. Ta-ta. He's great. I tell you what, I was so glad that he turned up. I was struggling. Right, where are we? We're there. Hi. I love it when people are getting a suit. I remember my old man said to me, he said, when you're not a man until you get your first suit made. And it was lovely. It was lovely. Barclay's got my first suit and he keeps sending me photos of him wearing it. But he hasn't got the balls to do the full three-piece. He just wears the jacket. Beautiful. That's Holland and Sherry cloth as well. Oh, God. It's called... anyway, oh, it was so sad giving all them away. But, you know, I was growing out of them, and they're woolen suits. Can't imagine wearing a three-piece woolen suit out in Cambodia. I do occasionally wear a two-piece, but only if where we're going is like a restaurant or something, because it'll have aircon. That's the one thing I really miss about living in England, is not being able to wear a nice three-piece suit. I also had this beautiful handmade, really heavy, kind of like a Crombie style coat, but brown. I think Barclay got that as well. Beautiful coat, man. But avoid the brokers. You don't need to see them. You can walk down into those tailors on Clifford Street and Berwick Street. When you walk up Berwick Street, look up to the second floor and you'll see the tailors. And you can just walk up there and, be naive. Don't try and blag it. Just say, I heard that you can make me a three-piece suit. And they'll usually have a trouser maker, a waistcoat maker and a jacket maker. And say to them, I'll bring my own cloth, and then take them some photos or cutouts from magazines of the sort of things you want. Unless you tell them, they don't know. If you're expecting them to guess, you're likely not going to get the suit you want. Like all my suits have 4 buttons on the jacket and 6 buttons on the waistcoat. That's really odd. And I never wear double-breasted suits or waistcoats. But unless you tell them, unless you can show them images, you're leaving it up to them. And leaving it up to blokes who've been making suits for 60 years, you're going to walk out of there. So if you're thinking about getting a suit made, start collecting images now. Even if it's just like looking online and, downloading photos onto your phone. I think another donation has come in. Albert dropped another 5 spot. He said, good shout, Packer. There you go, amazing. Nice one, Albert. Hoyt. Right, thanks to everyone who donated. Massive thanks to Packer. Lovely to see Field Marshal Dawn Brown in here. God knows what time of day it is where she is at the moment, over in our Antipodeans. I didn't think I'd be able to stream tonight. I'm so glad I did. Listen, people, I know I've said this every stream lately, but the reason I will be up in my YouTube game, but I published a book 2 months ago. So when you're a self-publisher, you're doing the job of like 8 people: marketing, communications, networking, this. That's why traditional publishers give you 7.5% of the royalties, whereas self-publishing is like 60%. Well, around there. But it's because you're doing the work of a whole company. So that's why I've been a bit too tired to stream. And I don't like streaming when I'm really tired because sometimes in the past they've been abysmal. Luckily tonight I pulled it off, but I just wanted to remind you I was still alive. I know some of you worry. I will be putting your messages on the screen, which is another way of saying there's still time to donate. This is a song that I'm sure you all know and love. It was requested by the wonderful Picard. I'll see you all soon.
All the world loves a lover. All the girls in every land are meant to know. The joy of loving is to live in the world of man love. There's someone who's waiting for you. Soon the world will be yours for a toy. Music starts to play, night will turn to day, darkness disappears when the one...
Right, massive apologies. I will take it back a bit, so you will get a bonus extra couple of bars. But old Volsey has hit the nail on the head. Like the stream if you can. I mean, I know there's only 55 people left, but it does help maybe get someone else here. Ta-ta. I'll see you soon. Shortly. Bye.
For a toy. Music starts to play, night will turn to day, darkness disappears when the one you love is near. You're in man love. All the world loves a lover. All the girls in every land are meant to know. Joy of
Put a suit, that's my email.
is to live in the world of man love. There's a place that is waiting for you, a world where the best in life is free, where time is always spring, happiness is king. Dreams you dream come true when the one you love loves you. You're in man love. All the world loves a lover. All the girls in every land are meant to know. Joy of loving is to live in the world of man love.
Such a tune, man. Does it ever get old? It's magnificent. Listen, people, if you're not subscribed to my Substack, link in the description. New Substack is going to drop this week because I'm already writing the next one of this series, and that's just flying. It's remarkable. Because I'm so motivated. I said this right at the beginning of the stream, but just in case you didn't see it, because this has gone so well, I'm just like, oh, I'm excellent again. But the short that I'm writing for Substack, because I got about 30 new subscribers, probably from book sales. It's a cracker, man. I mean, most of you have heard the story before, but not in as much detail and not with my beautiful linguistic semiotic flourishes. I've got to go, I can't talk. Look after yourselves, and a massive Hoi. Ta.